As I suspected, 32 flavors.
Try the sauce. I'm soaked in it.
Oh, I could lick you all day long.
That's my opinion!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Comic Shop Talk of Friday night. Glad to be here with our usuals in the chat on the panel. It is a fantastic Friday night, and I just want to say hello, good morning, good evening, wherever, whenever you are, boys and girls, children of all ages. I'm feeling good tonight, and I hope you all are feeling great as well. And I see Dragon Master 360. How you doing? Rough Girl TV. Shout out to you, Rough Girl. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Tabletop Junkie. How you doing, sir? Nice to see you. Oh shit, Jeffo. What's up, Jeffo? Amen, fate. How you doing? How you doing, guys? So the 43rd episode of the Comic Shop Talk on Friday night. And of course, this is part 2 of what we got going with our Amazing Spider-Man run for the next month. So tonight's issues are 5, 6, 7, and 8. We are talking. And unfortunately, last week, because, well, I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, a buddy of mine sent me a little tip in the stream elements, and I felt bad. And I wrote to him an email and everything, like, how I'm so mad that I forgot to read his, basically his super chat. Because I don't want to be that guy. So, Christian, if you are out there, this is for you. Last week, Christian DeLorme for $5 says, starting with a pow. Well, thank you. I like that you start with a pow. So thank you for that $5, sir. And always thank you for your endless support to the channel. You are awesome. Thank you. And we're just going to introduce our guys, and I'll let them fill in the blanks on how their whereabouts in life are. How you doing, Mr. Lord Thoth?
I'm good and happy to be here. It's been a long week, and I can't wait to talk about some comic books. So thanks for letting me be aboard.
Always, my friend. Always an honor and a pleasure to have you around. So this is the good stuff. This is what Friday nights are made of. Cheers to you, sir. Whatever you're drinking, I hope it's good.
Oh, it always is, man. I've got a nice Cabernet Merlot that I had with my barbecue steak on that I had, even though we had a snowstorm up here. So I barbecue year round, and guess what? I threw a couple of strip loins on. My wife and I had a nice dinner, and then I poured myself some Cabernet Merlot.
Nice.
Did you go for the full package and stand outside in some shorts while you did it?
I was in shorts and a t-shirt, eh?
Ah!
Let me tell you, my wife was in the kitchen shaking her head at me and just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey, it's Canada, eh?
I love it, dude. Never change, Thoth. Never change. And I know you sincerely, genuinely mean that. That's so awesome of you.
It is. It's the truth. Everything I say is the truth because, Mounties never lie.
That's true. Hey, guys, you heard it here first. Never lies. Never lies. All right.
I'm Canadian, so we never lie either. Just ask Justin Trudeau.
Oh, you're on a roll tonight. You just got started. It's gonna be one of those nights, ain't it? Okay. Well, Thoth, glad to have you here. Fender the Ice Wolf, how you doing, sir?
Howdy ho, boys! I finally beat the bastard.
Whoa, that was like that was like awkward.
Yeah, it was. I really don't know what's going on with me, but I try to live life as I can because I don't freaking know. So how are you guys doing?
All good.
Man. How you?
I'm all right here to talk with you guys about some comic books. I'm excited for the new Gundam game coming out. Yeah, I don't got much going on. Pretty bored.
Well, we're talking about ASM tonight, so
great. I got all the issues up and done.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Awesome. D. Bud Martin returning to the comic shop for more ASM goodness. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. I I myself had ribs for dinner and
Ooh.
cranberry juice.
Ooh, my man. I like it. You guys are just full of ribs tonight. I love it.
Wait, we're
Go
talking
ahead.
about what we had for dinner?
Oh
'Cause I
yeah,
had the
Frost.
stereotypical black dinner. I had fried chicken, a watermelon, and I drank some purple stuff.
Oh, purple drink? I love purple drink.
Yep. Yeah, I
So
love
okay,
that. I don't see what's
dude.
wrong with it at all.
Hey, listen, you don't understand. So out here in Illinois, there's this legendary hot dog joint called Gene and Jude's. And Gene and Jude's, they have a very limited menu. They sell hot dogs, fries, tamales, and they sell purple Kool-Aid literally listed on the menu as purple drink. I was just like, they even know they call it purple drink on their menu, written word for word. I was like, this is great that it's literal. That they know it's purple drink. It ain't grape Kool-Aid. It's purple drink, and it ain't even close. Nah, man, for real. It really do
That's
be
just
like that.
that sounds like a very fun place to be at.
Ironcaster, how are you doing, dude?
We doing good. It is Friday night, and I've got a nice weekend to enjoy. I got myself settled in with one of my few cider boys left.
Ooh,
And
you need a restack, dude.
I know I gotta wait till payday, but I get to enjoy it and talk about some Spooderman.
Spooderman. Or as
Actually, before
go ahead.
before we were starting the stream up, I was just kind of playing on repeat the '60s theme.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Get myself in the mood.
Which version? The original TV version or the Ramones?
The original TV.
I gotta learn
The
to play the
original
Ramones
TV.
version.
Dude, right? Yeah, the original Ramones. Dude, oh man, if only we lived in the world before we get involved to the actual cons. We need to be in the world where the Ramones are involved because they were like legitimate punk to the very end. And well, we need legitimate punks in the world right now. So, Johnny, boys, I know some of you are not living, but if you somehow spiritually out there listening, we need you. We need you. All right. Anyways, going forward and shutting the living hell up about that, guys. The first issue that we're covering tonight, ASM number 5. Ooh, I see 6. How you doing, 6? GAP Stargate. How you doing as well? So, Amazing Spider-Man number 5. This is not your typical Spider-Man comic. I mean, historically, it seems typical, but as far as who the villain is, historically, pretty much you can't just say a Fantastic Four villain, but a Marvel villain as well. But also a character who is way too overpowered for our boy Spidey, Doctor Doom. And for me, this issue, I didn't come around to this issue till a little bit later in my life when I was reading the Stan Lee Steve Ditko run. But what I like about this issue is that Spider-Man, like, he does put up a fight, but he still ultimately, he didn't fail, but he definitely didn't win. Dr. Doom just happened to escape when the real competition showed up. And I feel like for a character like Spider-Man, that's what makes sense. And obviously, had a little bit of a convenient part happening with the whole identity thing going on where Flash Thompson showed up because he was going to really play a prank on Peter only for it to backfire to be kidnapped by Doom. And you got the Doombots at play too, which, come on, you can't go wrong with Doombots. So I personally found this issue really fun, and I liked how they really played to Spider-Man's ability. And the fact that we got to see him see what happens when he messes with a villain on a much larger scale of things, how challenging it is for him. And of course, we do have another villain who says he's going to be the one to take him down, because that seems to be the common thing. Every villain says, I'm going to be the one to do it this time. It's kind of like it was the golden age version of hold my beer. So I'm going to say for me, this issue, of course, Ditko's art looks great. And I love how he I love the voice characterization too. Like Doom sounds like Doom, Spider-Man sounds like Spider-Man. And then once, of course, because Stan Lee's involved, Ditko's involved, Fantastic Four, every character, even in the guests, they all sound how they should. And I love seeing Flash Thompson's life just mad. Flash got the ending with Flash is really the prices. The fact that he did a Jussie Smollett. He faked what happened to make himself look good. We will need to get into the context of it until we've all had our say, but we'll talk about that great ending. But I'm gonna personally give this issue. I'm gonna give it a straight 8 out of 10. That's where I stand. And welcoming to the panel, Mr. Clobbering Times. How you doing?
Hey, buddy. What's up? Sorry I'm late. I keep forgetting about
Don't worry.
earlier starter time, man. Just a little under the weather here, man. So,
Hey, Clobby, did the Yankee
buddy,
Street
what's up?
gang piss you off?
yes, they did. How'd you know? But I just could not resist coming and see you guys. I'm not up to speed on this book. I have not read this in a long time, but I've been reading it right now as we speak. Actually, I have it.
Nice.
I have an old digital copy in front of me, so I'll just let you guys handle it. But anything I can help with, I just wanted to be here for support, man, because I want to see you guys. Sorry it takes so long to get in this.
Oh, dude. Hey, it's all good, Clobbering. All good. I appreciate that. And I want to say the ever excellent Purple Valkyrie in the chat. How you doing?
Purple 6. Oh, look at all these
The
great people here.
Time Prophet as well. How you doing? Thank you for dropping on in here. We're talking Spider-Man. Thank you for joining us. And yes. Oh, sweet. Time Prophet. Now you have a
Just
reason.
want to say a quick shout out to Purple Valkyrie, who invited me to her stream the other night. And unfortunately, I've been on an op all week, so I feel really bad that we never got a chance to talk. But I watched your stream yesterday after it's already done, and it was outstanding. I loved it. So everybody, check out Purple Valkyrie's channel.
Yes.
It's just she's doing some amazing stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. And it was a little dark. You had a Dega Outlaw. Yeah, it was like it was a chance to talk about some real life stuff, and with the darkness that's in the fringes. So considering what I've been doing all week, it was pretty much in line with what she was talking about. So thank you for that, Purple. I loved it.
Yeah, love you, Purple. She's the best.
All right, killer. So, Mr. Thoth, while you're here, have you had a chance to read this issue recently, or do you know enough to feel freely speak on this particular issue of Spidey and
yes.
Dr. Doom's first encounter? Go ahead and sound off then.
So it's funny how I go back and remember the past, and I remember reading this in the there was an amazing Spider-Man compilation that I read about probably 30, maybe 35 years ago that had this issue in it. I can't remember what it was when I first read it, but I was unlucky enough to not read this when it first came out, obviously. But it had an impact on me, and I have had a chance to browse it again recently and look at it because we were talking about Spider-Man here on your channel, Nick. And I'll just say this, that at the time, I was like, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is Doom doing in a Spider-Man comic at the time. But now that I've read it recently, I had a bigger appreciation of what an impact that would be in that mythos. Now, we know Spider-Man's kind of cross-pollinated into the Fantastic Four, and how much of a great impact each other has had on their books. I love the little guest appearances that Spidey has had on the FF, and I love the guest appearances that especially Johnny Storm has had in Spider-Man, because for a long time in the Silver Age and even into the Bronze Age, they were kind of best buddies, uneasy best buddies, I guess is the best way to put it. But the impact of having Dr. Doom in a Spider-Man comic is absolutely huge, because he is, in my opinion, the greatest supervillain of all time in the Marvel Universe. The only one close enough to even maybe take that crown from him would be Magneto. So, yeah, it was just a fun issue. A lot of the booms and kaplas and stuff in the inking. I love the storyline. We get to see Peter in his native environment, with J. Jonah Jameson grumbling and complaining. And, that's what's so great about this issue. I'd say probably the first 25, 30 issues of Spider-Man are amongst the best comic books of all time.
Awesome,
Does that make any
dude.
sense?
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
dude.
No,
Yeah,
sorry. I was just taking the thoughts all in. That was just really well stated. Sorry, you almost rendered me a little speechless, but in the best way possible. That was awesome, dude. And I wholeheartedly agree with your sentiment. So it's a hell of an input, my man. Thank you. I
Well, you're
appreciate
very
it.
welcome. Any chance I get to talk about Doctor Doom and Spider-Man in the same sentence is just a joy because they're both amongst my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. No, I agreed.
Doom's the boss.
He really is the boss, and it ain't even close. And I want to give an extra major shout out to my guy Rudy in the chat. How's it, everybody? Looks like some awesome
Hey,
comments are
Rudy.
going on here. Rudy, how you doing, man? Always awesome to see you here, sir. Hopefully your Friday is going well, and cheers and beers or whatever it is you're drinking over there, over in I think Hawaii. Cheers, my man.
Over there.
Yes, right. Fenrir, have you been reading this issue lately?
Yes, I have.
Why don't you talk about it, sir? Talk about your thoughts on it.
I enjoyed the story and pretty much Doctor Doom's whole demeanor and all of this. I feel like in today's we don't see much of anything actually getting him right, either from video games or movies or so. And I enjoyed him in this one. Man, I got
Awesome,
higher
awesome.
scientists who borders around the mystical to technological. He's an equal way. Specifically, I enjoyed his battle with Spidey, where he's actually trying to pull his own weight on this one, but he just can't win. It's Doom.
Yeah, no, and Doom is unshockingly he's formidable. He's even more formidable because it's Spider-Man, and only because Peter had such a convenient yet not convenient event happen in his life that he was able to actually have a fight against him to begin with the element of surprise and a backfiring from one Flash Thompson that we see here on these pages when Flash was supposed to pull off a prank. And to imagine, like, Doom originally was trying to lure Spider-Man in, realized that Peter is a little bit more strong-willed than that, wants to learn his secret identity, and thinks he's going to lure him in, think, I'm going to find out who he is. And, well, good old Flash here had a prank that backfired, and he gets stuck in the hands of Dr.
I really wonder.
laughed so hard at this, but it's so good. Go
I really
on.
wonder if a great question was in my mind at the semi-end when the Fantastic Four found Flash. Did he piss himself? I mean, the freaking thing was holding like a pinata.
Good question. I wonder, my friend.
Yeah, because this was a fun one. I really enjoyed seeing him humiliated a little bit. And him actually inventing a story out of this to make himself look good.
Yeah,
God,
no.
but we know reality. We know what really went down.
Yeah, no. See, that's once again the beauty of the reader perspective of these stories. You get to see everything playing out, and the characters learn the book. They're like, "Whoa, what's all this?" And we're just thinking, us readers, we know what's going on, but you don't. Speaking in third person here, style like that. Where would you stand on this issue thus far into our ASM run? Where would you rate it, rank it, whatever is your style of rating?
Well, I give it about 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
9.5, because I'm going to be honest, I really wanted a lot more of the FF on this one.
9.5, and he says, and that's a high score, yet he says he wanted the FF. That almost sounds like you're rated like a 7.5 to an 8, yet 9.5. Whew. All right. Well, okay, cool.
Like, if the Fantastic Four fought side by side with Spidey, it would have been a lot more cooler. Just saying.
Okay, yeah, no, of course it's the F4, but hey, it's Spider-Man's issue. At that point, you gotta keep it Spidey to make it seem like it's Spidey's fight against the F4, because that, my friend, is how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Fenrir, thank you. Ironcaster, why don't you sound off on your thoughts on this? Well, wait for it. Amazing issue.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Badunts.
So, a couple of things I thought really stood out to me in this. One, I do want to point out, LT, I 100% agree with you about Magneto and Doctor Doom being perhaps two of the greatest comic book villains, period. But
Yeah, because they are
oh.
that great choices, man. That's I agree 100%.
It's tough to beat them, and they are two of the nearest and dearest to my heart. I mean, but that, but sorry, to get back to the actual comic here in question, I did think it was kind of funny that, of course, if anyone's gonna immediately figure out about Spider-Man's Spidey sense, it's gonna be Doctor Doom.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, it's like, of course. Oh, he's just me like, I know. Spider sense. He must have the power of spiders. I'll send him messages with that.
Yeah, it was crazy. Oh.
But I mean, there's a lot of little things to kind of enjoy with it. How he has to he on screen here he tricks Aunt May to get out by just kind of pulling a fuse out.
Oh, that was so funny. Hey, power and responsibility. Carry on, Caster.
And I mean, you're getting more of that buildup of Flash Thompson being this bully, being this, antagonist to Peter. Peter's got and you see in these early issues here, and we'll get to a little bit later in I think issue 8, where Peter is biting himself like I can't, if I hold back, I have to hold back. I cannot dare unleash the spider power on Flash Thompson. I would put a hole through him with a finger.
Yeah, I remember back then he was as strong as Thor, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he was in I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was oftentimes held up as the third strongest behind. Well, actually, he was in that probably.
Yeah, next to Hulk and Thor.
Hulk, Thor, and the Thing.
He was pretty strong, but he was a little bit not quite at those guys' level. But yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah.
They're A tier, and he's B.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this was fun, and I do like this because we're bringing in a little more of that cross pollination, bringing in a Fantastic Four character to help further legitimize Spider-Man, that he by himself is going to hold off Doctor Doom, a character who has held all four of that takes the whole Fantastic Four to be able to beat him. It does a good job to show you that's how strong he is.
Oh yeah, dude. I love how no matter how much Spider-Man gets away with the stuff that he's doing, Doom has a plan for every maneuver he pulls off. I love that aspect of Doom, because Doom is, as far as being a villain goes, he's a go-getter, man. He's
the guy who plans.
He wants to win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the guy who plans everything. Even when you go to the bathroom, he's already expecting that.
Remember,
with Spider-Man,
it's always a Doombot.
Yeah, I think we have to remember with Spider-Man is he's also got plot armor. I think that his strength depends on the story, but in my opinion, he's a 20, 30-ton kind of guy. A car he struggles with, anything heavier than that is tough. But in case of extreme stress and pressure and adrenaline, I really think he can really go toe-to-toe with supervillains like the Juggernaut, for example. We've seen that where he goes toe-to-toe with the Juggernaut. Come on.
Yes.
And so I think that, like I said, plot armor, but he's got these incredible powers that really, I know that now we're in 2022 and they're pretty much defined, but in all honesty, I think that it really depends on the story. And this story is a great opportunity for him to really stretch and get into his webbing, because he does a great job with, going toe-to-toe with probably one of the mightiest strategists and tacticians in the Marvel Universe.
Yep.
Well said, Thoth. Well said.
But
Go ahead,
also
Caster.
with the writing of these books, with the writing of Spider-Man, you believe that whoever they put him up against, he could take in a fight. That you believe the fight is real.
Yep, the believability is there, even against a god, a wizard like Doctor Doom. Granny's not really a god status, but he's definitely a master planner at this stage. And to sell on that, you can't just do that. You have to write it very creatively to convince you. Because when you're the reader, you want to be convinced. You can't just say, "Oh, this character just fight that character because reasons." You gotta sell them. You gotta convince them that this can actually work and make sense. And this book does that. It really does. And the fact that once again the Flash Thompson scenario. Once again, maybe you can call that plot armor or not, but you see how that works to Spidey's advantage. Once again, as I mentioned earlier, with the element of surprise, because Doom was not ready for that because he thought he had Spider-Man trapped. He thought he was just being a wuss, contained, crying out for help, but realizing no, Flash was serious. He's not Spider-Man. The real one's still out there. And that's a little bit of Doom's ego probably coming at play, thinking, yeah, of course he's going to say that. There's no way it's not the real Spider-Man, because that, for me, let him out is like an absolute trick. On top of it, it's Doom. He's not going to just let him out. Either way, real or fake Spider-Man, it's Doom. Why are you trying to reason with the guy? Anything else, Caster?
Oh no, I think we're pretty good with this one.
Okay.
There's not much more I could say on it.
Okay, Killard. Last but certainly not least, D. Bud Martin. Sir, sound away.
Well, we know that this is Purple Valkyrie's favorite Spider-Man issue. That goes without saying, I guess. But I have to say it.
Purple loves Doom. She's a Doom fan.
As anyone should.
I love how, he doesn't really defeat Doom. It would be
I love that too.
crazy for young Spider-Man who's just starting out to be able to beat Dr. Doom.
Right.
And the way this is written, it's plausible that he could get at least into a standstill long enough for the cavalry to come in and chase Doom away. So that that made this more of a believable story. But some of the other things in here, though, it's got some of the supporting character stuff. There's more growth going on there. Where, in particular, there's a panel there with J. Jonah Jameson, where he's explaining why he's saying all these things about Spider-Man. And some people think you have a personal grudge against him. And he's, no, I'm just trying to sell papers. I don't care. That sounds kind of familiar.
That's Ditko was cynical.
It's a little sketchy. Yeah, I agree.
But also in this last panel here, you see a little bit of where Peter Parker and Betty Brant are kind of giving each other the eye a little bit.
Oh yeah, our boy Peter.
Hey, you're wonderful, Petey, and he's going, gee, that Betty Brant's kind of cute. I started noticing that.
So D-Bud, are you saying that there's still a chance?
For Petey, I don't think so. Not anymore. Oh, hey, Steve Mitchum just showed up.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, buddy.
Carry on, D-Bud.
But yeah, I think a lot of the other stuff the other fellows covered, of course. It's great to see the FF in there, more the world building that was going on in early Marvel. And this also kind of establishes the tradition that pretty much everybody in the Marvel universe has to fight Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They all
don't forget the other tradition where they have to do a team up with Spider-Man.
Yes, that too. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, sir, or will that be it for you?
That's it for this one. Yep.
All right. The man had spoken, and right on time. And before we introduce them, I want to give a shout out to following few people who arrived in here while we were sounding off. I saw Crucible the Rainbow Knight, Dr. Dragon. You must be Mr. Dragon. How you doing? Like the name change, by the way. I see Phil, Bo Baggins, hey, Grim, TZ Burton, and of course, Steve Mitchum. How you guys doing? Thank you for coming on over here to the comic shop as we talk Amazing Spider-Man. And the man with the definitive voice for a very particular catchphrase.
Howdy how!
Hey!
Too late. Already did it.
Nope. That's not canon. What you did was not canon. It breaks the lore.
No, I already did it. It is. It was done.
Nope.
They saw it.
I don't
It
remember
was
this.
heard.
Nope. What you did was Star Wars sequel level.
Oh,
Screw you guys.
Ouch.
Wow.
Now you're trying to do
that's a
South Park?
That's a stab in the back with a serrated knife that's very rusty.
Yeah. I mean, God damn it! How can you do that to a friend?
That's pretty
Well, hey, you're the one who went for it. I leave Pablo to that phrase because that standard even applies to me.
Oh man, you are already on the comic. Oh,
No,
this
dude,
issue is
hey,
so good.
First issue.
No, you're right on time. And before you do it, hail to Agent Decibel. How you doing, Pablo? We've all been doing our roundtable here, talk about this issue. And since you're here, why don't you talk about this issue and your thoughts on it?
This is Peter at the point where he's actually trying to do something with his own powers. So he has been training, he has been experimenting, and in this issue we see him on full force. He has the spider web balls, he has his agility enhanced for training, and we see him fighting Doctor Doom and actually doing it well. So it's one of the moments where you actually see Peter Parker thinking out of the box in every single way, doing the column with the web, doing the balls, and taking the damage, because when the floor starts to be electrified, he actually takes full force and uses his webs to channel the energy towards Doom. So he's smart, he's powerful, and most of everything, he's learning.
And what a perfect villain to be learning from, because even he realizes this is not just any villain. Like, I'm going up against Doctor Doom. He's aware of what he's dealing with, and that's good, because even though he's still just a kid, he realizes he has his limits too, and that he's in over his head. But being Spider-Man, and power and responsibility always comes first, even if it comes for his bully Flash Thompson. He still got to do the right thing, even though he had a chance to stay at home with Aunt May, shutting off the lights.
Although he's still a NAS with Flash, because once he not really defeats Doom, Doom kinda defeats himself, if that's logical for you. But he leaves Flash in the cage and he goes away. And the Fantastic Four came and basically they laugh at that Flash because he was dressed as a Spider-Man, and they are like, nah, you are too much of a wimp. So even the Fantastic Four, god damn it, Flash cannot get a rest after this.
I agree. Yeah, no, dude, I love this issue. It's once again. Go ahead.
That's a part of it that kind of is worth bringing up and talking about, is that conscience of Peter, and the going back to that call to action, that need to go out. Like, yeah, he could have just left Flash to suffer under the hands of Doom, but no, he had to go out and save him, even if this is like the person he despises most of all. That's the kind of man Peter is.
Right. That, and once again, as I said, that's literal power and responsibility coming there. Like, you don't have to like who you're saving. Like you have to still do it, because look at what happened when you put your interests first. Something that modern comics and even modern anything in general can learn from that is it ain't always about your feelings. You have to ultimately do what's going to be, you have to make tough decisions. And for him, because he has so much resentment towards Flash, he has to make a decision of saving someone he's not fond of. And a lot of people don't think of it like that, and they should, because we're in the day and age where it's all me, me, me. So you see Peter Parker put his feelings aside to be the hero, even if it means Flash Thompson. And all the more reason why we love our boy Peter, why we love him.
Oh, by the way, I want to address the chat. They are going if Doctor Doom is the best villain or Magneto is. Doctor Doom has enough aces on his hand that he can literally cancel every power from Magneto and defeat him. And I mean it.
Ooh. I might have to say I agree.
It would be a great fight, though. That would be a lot of fun to read. That's a lot of what's missing in comic books today, is just creativity and having villains and heroes go at it with some creativity.
Plus having the whole story finish in just one book.
Yes.
Oh, well, no. Okay, there you lose it.
It's all about who's stronger and who's got the bigger muscles and bang, 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 right? It's not about thinking and strategy and tactics in warfare.
That's what I hate about
it should be a chess game. It should be about one move and then the next and then the next. But it's not. And
a battle of knowledge.
What's missing. Like this comic is just perfect for that. It's one move against the next, Doom goes to try to use brute force and Spider-Man dodges it, and then Spider-Man uses his webs, and then Doom, uses his brain and gets out of it with his armor, and then there's that's a great comic book because it's a story, it's creative, and it's unique, and that's what's missing.
Well, Doom and Magneto did fight each other in villain team.
They've met before.
Yeah.
Yep.
They did go at
They
it.
have.
Yep.
I own
They
that
have
comic.
never tried to kill each other fully force.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the kind of match that if you have ever had a conversation with nerds, they will go, they were not serious. And in this point, Dr. Doom and Magneto have never been serious because Dr. Doom can actually phase part of his body to another dimension and magnetism no longer works. From there, Magneto is screwed. But if Magneto takes the first hit, he might crush the helmet and that's all, right? So there's ways that you can finish, but again, Dr. Doom is the kind of opponent that you cannot let have the second or third attack, and in this comic you see it. Even when Spider-Man tries to use his disintegrator to harm Doom, Doom is like, aha, I'm shielded against this. You cannot use my powers against me. And that's Doom.
Yeah, no, that is our boy Dr. Doom. So anyways, I want to bring it back to Flash Thompson trying to take fight for, as we wrap this issue part up, the fact that Flash Thompson tries to take credit for taking Doom when really he just conveniently got away when Doom left. I when rereading it earlier today, I thought about the whole Juicy situation. I'm like, it's funny. He faked the situation to make him look good. And of course, the timing of it is what made me put the parallels together. So it made me chuckle on the inside. I'm like, wow, this issue is more prevalent on things today than it ever probably intentionally wanted to lead on to. So I always had a chuckle at that part. And now I'm going to have a chuckle for years to come just off of that part. So, great issue. Of course, unshockingly, I love it. It's a great, fantastic comic book, and our world is so much better for it. But as Mr. Andre would like to say, and with that, we'll transition to a legendary issue for a very particular legendary reptilian Spider-Man villain, a man named Dr. Kirk Connors, who became also known as the Lizard. And I love this cover. And to lead it off, I'll let D. Bud Martin talk about this issue.
Classic.
I wouldn't know anything about this issue.
If I can just pause for a second. Pause for a second, because Time Prophet made a really good comment. He said, actually, Magneto No, sorry, it was where was it? Let me get. I'm sorry, the chat
Dragon?
jumped on me. I know Clobby knows all about that. Here it is. Spider-Man wouldn't last long
Nice.
where I live. No buildings over 2 stories high here. And when I read that, I was laughing my butt off because that is so true.
Yeah.
There's like 2 big buildings downtown
There's
you
2
can swing
buildings.
around.
Spider-Man couldn't be swinging everywhere unless he was into the swinger way of life. But yeah, absolutely.
By the way, this issue comes with a pun that actually I will hope Lorena one day covers something like this. Florida man tries home cure for handicap, becomes lizard instead.
Sounds like Max Redstone needs to do a limerick on that, doesn't he, Clobby?
Yes, sir. I'm with it. I'm with that.
All right. So, Deba, want to talk about this historical issue?
This is important because this is also when the Marvel Age of Comics is here.
Ooh. Go on. We're listening.
Marvel Age of Comics.
Well, you've seen this mangy comic last week.
Yeah.
But,
we like seeing it again. No one's complaining here.
Yeah, this is, of course, was the first appearance of the Lizard. They also, in the 67 Spider-Man cartoon, they do the story that's in this issue, and it follows it pretty closely. It's a pretty good representation of this story. But since I had to dig out these old books, I thought I'd show the later appearances of the Lizard. And here is the second appearance of the Lizard, and this is during of course, the Romita era.
Nice.
Yes.
Very early in the Romita run.
Oh, I love the inking on that.
Yeah, this is this is personally my favorite run of comics. Is the first year and a half of the Lee Romita Spider-Man books.
I actually like that cover better. And here's a trivia question: who painted that cover? Who was the who did that cover?
Who did that cover? This one here, you mean?
Yeah.
Not Romita.
Right there.
I'm not sure
Not Romita. Not
Romita.
Romita. I thought he inked himself on that cover.
Yep.
It's not
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing?
Senior. Oh, he did.
Oh yeah.
Look, that Romita. Look, as much as I do love the Ditko era. I really do. I've got to throw in with but I think I actually sort of refer to Romita.
Yeah, hey, that's a fair argument. Even though I'm more of a Ditko guy, I will not object to that argument because that's a fair argument.
Yeah,
I absolutely
is a great cover. The
love that cover.
And all of that.
Yeah,
I love that cover.
And this is the
man
story. And you can see Spidey gets his arm injured in the last issue, so he's wearing a sling.
Yep.
And this will be familiar when we get to the next issue.
Dude, great.
But this was the second story of the Lizard. And a few years later, this was the third story.
Oh man,
that's another good.
I think you're a Lizard fan.
Well, yeah, it's
I've
funny how
got a bunch of old Spider-Mans. That's all.
funny
It
how
happens to be one of the ones I wanted to keep.
he took
Next
a
is
while
gonna
to
pull
Yeah,
out
but
some
it's weird to
Godzilla.
specifically pick the Lizard ones to keep. It means you have something for the character.
Yep, I like the I like the Lizard.
That's
But there's-
with the Mysterio covers. I have all the Mysterio covers. Yeah.
Well, that was another couple issue story, and guess who the guest star is in the other part?
It's also weird how there was such a long gap between his first appearance and his second appearance. Really.
Yep.
Dude,
How many
and
years
the
was it?
Torch again. I love
this
the
had,
fact that Torch is involved.
This has some really beautiful. See if I can get a Mooney. This is Romita art, but it's Jim Mooney did the inking on it.
Did the inking? Yeah. Love it.
Oh, I love the detail.
Jim Mooney was
Okay.
actually a pretty good inker. He was a penciler usually, but he did a lot of inking.
There's only one thing that I need to know. Is the lizard drawn in there? Because he has the power of all the lizards, not only crocodiles, but every lizard. So basically,
Yeah, he's not
should-
drowning. He's just the torch is blasting him with.
Oh,
flame,
I
so
get
he's-
it.
Yeah, that's what's weakening him. But he's fine in the water.
Does he use chameleon powers?
Not that I know of.
Because it seems like that should be one of the powers he should have.
Yeah, because he says directly that he has all the lizard's powers. So every single species in the planet is supposed to be his superpower.
Wow, dude, those covers you kind of left me a little like speechless, which is obviously never a bad thing. I see Boosh McFadden in the chat. How you doing, Boosh? Nice to see you here. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. You came here at a good time, seeing all those badass covers that D-Bud showed off. So why don't you talk about this issue after you? Oh yes, we'll welcome more.
Yeah.
We'll welcome more. Why don't you talk about this particular issue?
Well, as you guess, I really love this character. You know, it's interesting that the concept of the character and how he comes to be is that Dr. Connors lost an arm in serving in the military, I believe, and he's trying to find a way to grow his arm back. And lizards grow their limbs back when they lose them. If I could just do that for humans, so it's a very interesting concept. And then of course it takes place in the Everglades, a totally different place for, Spider-Man's normally he's in New York City, and here he's in a totally different environment that he's dealing with. But another thing is that I really love about it is the fact that it shows to me Spider-Man's greatest power, which is his intelligence, because he has to show his skill at chemistry to create the antidote. And that's something you see him do all the time, is he uses his brain to solve these issues. And it's not brute force or force of will. Usually he's having to think of some scientific way to stop a lot of these characters. And this is a perfect example of this one, where he's got to come up with a chemical formula to stop the lizard, and he's only 16, so it shows that this kid is a super genius. He's just starting, and that to me, it's always been Spider-Man's greatest power.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree, man. And I'm not obviously not saying just to encourage the conversation, but I truly do feel that way. And like you, obviously my first recollection of a Spider-Man cartoon was watching an episode with the Lizard, and which conveniently was the very first episode of the 90s animated series. And he was also my very first Spider-Man related figure ever. Yeah. So obviously there's a little bit of that attachment there too. And yeah, Kirk Connors' story is very deeply fascinating. Did you want to add anything to that, sir?
No, I do. You love the character. I hadn't heard that. So yeah, I do love it.
No, you love the character.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just all right. Clobberin, did you want anything to this?
Well, yeah. One of my favorite things about this story was how Spidey cleverly tricks J. Jonah Jameson into sending Peter Parker down to Florida to accept the Lizard's challenge, this challenge was pretty silly, but yeah, I thought that was a fun part. This is, of course, it's a classic. Who doesn't love the Lizard?
I agree. No, this issue really, you see also, this issue is like where you start to see a little bit of the tragedy of being a villain. This is before the whole tragic villain thing was all too common and everywhere nowadays. Like, you really, you see Billy, you see Connors' his wife, and you really feel for Frank, because there was not a deep intention there of a villain to say. It was just like, wow, all he was trying to do was something for the betterment of mankind. Because when you think about that in theory, that's a great idea. It sounds filled with good intentions, and that is a very honest to goodness backfiring of what happens. And the fact that he's Lizard, he's mutating to the point where at first he recognizes his family, but he gets to a point where he mutates so much he can't. And the fact that he wants to create a whole army of that, which is very sorry to be more cartoonish villain, which for me that's fine. Keep it that way.
A whole army of lizards and amphibians, that would be a danger.
Dude, right? We actually think about how that plays out. that is actually kind of freaky and kind of badass at the same time. So, yeah, Spidey really he cleverizes his way into getting into Florida, which I love the meetup with JJ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter, you know how to make these things happen, and all because and it's funny because all this is, as per usual, from the status quo of JJJ. All he wants are photos of Spider-Man. And if you're reading this issue as I guess you could say, as someone who's never read it or doesn't know Spider-Man lore, you don't hear about Kirk Connors until around halfway, if not a little halfway over to the issue, until his wife mentions, "Oh no, hey, that's Doc Connors," because you see about him mentioned in passing, I think on a newspaper that Peter reads on the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's huh? Could that be the guy? Could that not be? It kind of has a Scooby-Doo mystery bill until his wife mentions, "Hey, no, it's him." But yeah, I feel like this story definitely at this time I could get with the whole sympathetic villain angle. It's not as everywhere as it is now. Obviously nowadays the reasons are far more driven by other things rather than just genuine goodness that went wrong. I love this, and once again, yes, Spider-Man's wit. He has to get him trapped in a way where he can get him to drink a serum in order to turn back. I love that, and the fact that Spider-Man pulls it off, and once again, you're sold on it. You don't think, oh, come on, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't add up. Everything about it does, and it really does feel like a challenge for it because you hear him talk about the pain he's in. You talk about, oh my God, this dude is freaking fast. He's super heavy when he hits me with the tail. Lizard comes off really powerful. I mean, at one point he tears off a tree in this issue.
Yeah,
I was just
notice it.
man, Lizard's powerful, dude.
Yeah, and that's something that's this is kind of the start of the trope of the hero kind of having to be careful with the villain they're fighting because they know they're actually innocent person and they're just in a bad situation and they don't want to hurt them.
Yeah.
There could be a friend, say the freak in Iron Man who's really Happy Hogan. He's he's kind of fighting with one arm tied behind his back because he doesn't want to hurt him, but he has to stop him. And they don't really show it as much in this one because the Lizard's just so powerful in this. But in the later Lizard stories, that's a lot of his concern is like in that one where you're seeing the torches blasting the Lizard. He's like, well, I can't tell him that's Dr. Connors, but I don't want him to hurt the Lizard like that because he's, it's actually Dr. Connors.
All right. Anything else, D-Bud?
That's it for now.
All right. Fenrir, talk about the classic Amazing Spider-Man number 6.
I gotta admit, this plot was pretty. It's kind of weird. This plot is kind of cartoonishly crazy, but at the same time, it's pretty good. Because you gotta admit, the whole idea of a supervillain getting together an army of something to take over the world, you don't see that being done right as it was. It's cartoony, yet it makes sense because an army of lizards, now that would be an actual danger if you think about it. Spidey actually saved the world from a lot of destruction. But yeah, in my book, this is a 10 out of 10 because this is just good. I specifically enjoyed how all of this ended up well because Spidey was an actual science guy. If he didn't know that he was doing, people would be screwed away. So yeah, 10 out of 10.
Ooh, you hear that, guys? Fenrir here gives it a 10 out of 10. I'm not objecting to that, and I'm not gonna object to Rudy's comment here. I like Andrew Garfield too. I always said it's the movies that I've had the issues with.
Andrew Garfield, one more thing. This actually feels very similar to the movie. I'll give him that.
Man, the story wise took influence, but I could see maybe they had a degree of influence. I mean, I don't want to get too deep in the movie, but
yeah, I agree, a small degree at least.
Yeah, but I do like Andrew Garfield. His movies I was not well about, but I always say it was not Andrew that was the problem. It was the people who were around him that were the issue, and I think No Way Home proved my theory right. But that's a conversation for another day. I guess that's it for you, Fenrir. Before I transition over.
Yeah.
All right, you heard the man. Thoth. Shoot.
I'll be honest. I give this an 8. I'm I'm not really a Lizard guy. I've never really been a Lizard fan, and this one really didn't really impact me that much. I know that's going to be tremendously dissatisfying for a lot of people out there who are Kirk Connors fans and
Wrong! Wrong!
That's it. He's kicked off.
It wasn't bad. In the first 10 issues, it's probably my least favorite, but it's not bad. Like when I say an 8, that's a pretty good score for me, right, Clobby?
He said he was gonna be right back, but
Oh yeah, that's right. But
maybe
yeah,
he knew
absolutely.
you were gonna say something bad, so he just needed to get away from you.
He's at my bottom tier of Spider-Man villains from the original Sinister Six, in my opinion. But it's not bad. It's. I think that there's a little bit of a connection between the two of them. They're both scientists. They both have that kind of science bent. Peter is a teenager. He's trying to look for a little bit of a platform to walk on in his endeavors when he's considering going into the scientific field, because he's brilliant. He's a genius, right? So he's looking up to Dr. Connors, and he's saying, hey, how can we move forward? And when he's faced with curing, in air quotes, curing the lizard from his affliction, he steps up to the plate. So it's a good story. It's fun. To be honest, I actually like the secondary characters in this story more so than I did like the villain. I don't think that the Lizard is a good villain for Spider-Man. I think that there are better supervillains that would face him, because this is more of a tragic kind of well, he's not really an anti-hero, but an anti-villain. It's a fun comic. But there are better ones in the first 10 issues.
Okay. Well, Lord Thoth has spoken, and he says it's the lesser of the issues. But hey, it's okay, Thoth. We can't all be perfect. I'm gonna bust your chops now.
That's right. Plus, I'm Canadian, so I've got 2 strikes against me. What's next?
Well, that was number 1. So we'll figure out where 3 strikes you're out. So
did you read more Spider-Man comics before you saw any of the cartoons?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because from Nick seeing the '90s cartoon and me the '60s cartoon, the Lizard was in those, and that's probably influenced our love of that character.
For me, it was the '60s cartoon as well. I think we're old fogies here. I think, D-Bud, but I didn't mind the '90s cartoon, and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I hate to say it, I have a soft spot for that with Firestar and Iceman.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off, but not in the way where you're kicked out. But I'm cutting you off in the sense where that show is kick ass.
Yeah, it was good. It was amazing.
Good. Oh, okay, I'm going to hear you say that.
All right, now you're back down to 1 strike. You're redeeming yourself a little bit. You're down to 1 strike.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? It's kind of strange because Spider-Man's sidekicks there never really got their due course in comic books. Like,
no,
a lot of those characters have really been sidelined. It's kind of strange, actually, because that cartoon was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That Iceman disappeared.
Yeah. I think I'm sorry I'm going to say this, and I'm sorry to the chat. I'm sorry to you, Nick, and everybody else, but I wonder if it was because when they labeled one of the characters as not heterosexual, that his popularity kind of plummeted into the Ice Age. I don't know.
Most likely.
Oh. Good pun.
So okay. Anything else you want to add, Thoth, or no?
No, that was good.
Okay.
And when I say this with a lot of love. That I think that in the probably the top 10 supervillains that Spider-Man has ever faced, I'd say that the Lizard is probably in my bottom 5 of that 10. But that's not to say he's not a great villain, because there's been a lot of supervillains that have come afterward, like Stiltman and Prowler and
The
Swarm
iguana.
and Iguana. Like there's a lot of Batman.
Slide. I
Slide.
love, dude. I'm such a big Slide fan. I have the first appearance of Slide. That's how much I love Slide, and I brag about it. I brag about that shit. I own that, figuratively and literally. I own it.
I will also say that the first appearance of Lizardman is not the best appearance. He's had some much better comics and much better storylines later on in the Spider-Man mythos. So yeah, this is probably out of the first 10 issues my least favorite.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry to those out there that are Lizard fanatics.
All right, back to 1.5 points now. Oh, what's up, Matthew Pounder? How you doing? Nice to see you in the chat. Thank you for coming and hanging out. So I want to add something before I trans on over to one of our guys. Peter Parker, his boost of confidence is so great. And it's the fact that he's making the moves on Liz Allen in the suit, calling her Blue Eyes, and she's over the moon about she's over the moon. She's like Flash. She's like Flash is just like, well, he was just a Flash. That's all he was.
Yeah,
it was just like
and poor Peter thought he had a chance, but he can't just beat Spider-Man. There's no way Peter Parker has a chance against Spider-Man. I'm telling you, he has no chance on that.
He can't even beat himself.
He's on a love triangle because Liz wants a Spider-Man, Betty wants a Spider-Man, and actually Betty wants Peter. So he's on a love triangle. Quite weird.
Right, for a guy who's such a, like, I guess you could say a little bit of a dweeb geek, he's already attracting the ladies madly, and he's still just this guy who's in really gamey haircut and big old widescreen TV glasses, and here he is making the moves, and it is working like a charm. So, guys, it just let this be influence here. If Peter Parker here with widescreen TV glasses can do it, you can do it too. So I believe in you guys out there, whether you're in the chat, out of the chat, somewhere out there, wherever you're listening. As they say in Dumb and Dumber, there's still a chance.
Still a chance.
Still a chance. Clobberin, did you want to talk about this issue a little? I know you say haven't had a chance, but is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, no, just not much, because again, it's been a little while since I'm reading. I've been rereading these. I wanted to catch up with you guys this week. Didn't get much of a chance, other than this is at a point. I was talking a little bit about the art. I think Ditko was really starting to refine his style. You can see he's still in his cruder stages in some of these issues, but in terms of his panel layout and some of the, I mean, if you just look at some of these panels here, I'm not sure where you're getting this picture from. I didn't pull out my omnibus, so I've been looking at these old digital copies I have when they put all these comics out on digital discs in the early 2000s, and the scans are from really terrible copies. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to look at them. They're all frayed. They've got all the ads, everything, and but looking at this, I think Ditko's storytelling style is starting to really improve more, because before this, of course, he was doing monster stories and other types of genre type stories. This is he'd done a little bit of adventure stuff or superhero stuff, but I think he's really coming into his own in some of these early issues of Spider-Man. I was around this issue where I thought his art started to change a little bit and started to evolve a little bit for me. So.
Yeah, to mature.
Now,
you can see the difference on the eyes. Is more expressive. Even the body has more movement. Yeah, there's a huge change between the last issue and this one.
And that was the same. Kirby went through a lot of the same process early on in the early issues of FF. His art was a little bit cruder, a little bit more harsh. This issue was one of the ones I think he really does a great job with his panel arrangement, and it moves very well. It flows very well. It was.
Dude, thank you for mentioning that, Clobberin, because it does move very well. It really feels like it almost like when I read it, it feels like I'm watching a scene like a scene play out, whether it's a cartoon or a movie, play out scene for scene. It's almost like a storyboard in that regard, and it feels like that because I can imagine the scenario playing out in my head, and I'm like, dude. This is badass. I love seeing Spider-Man go toe to toe against Lizard for his first time. His lack of experience, him being a teenager, Lizard who's gaining more mutation as he's going on. He's got a family on the line. Like the stakes are real. Like there's the inexperience. There's so much going on at play here, and yet it all weaves in together nicely. And once again, it takes people who are actually gonna commit to being a writer, commit to being a inker, penciler, to make it all make sense without it coming across as sloppy, rushed, or overstuffed. This book, for me, it really does that. And I guess I'm assuming, Clubby, you must be pretty fond of this issue as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like I love the Doctor Doom issue mainly for Doom. I think this is where he's starting to refine, or we're starting to see more signs of him refining his ability for action storytelling, which it takes a lot of these artists didn't really start to do that. Kirby was a little bit better at it. Even he was still in cruder stages compared to later. But even in Ditko, this is I think where he's done a lot of. He's been around a while at this point. Don't get me wrong, but superhero action is a different thing from other types of action in a Western comic and in mystery comics or even monster science fiction comics. Learning how to do superhero action and make it flow and make it move well, and having superhero battles, but battling monsters and supervillains and stuff, was still something that the Marvel style was really starting to refine. This is around the early stages when it was really starting to take shape, I think, and move, really get movement down well. Ditko, of course, was one of the primary innovators of that. So this is a key issue here for that as well.
Agreed. All right. I guess that means you've said your piece then, sir.
Sure. Sorry about that.
All right. No. I was gonna say if you got anything more, you can add to it.
It's a classic, and I love it.
All right. Cool. The man has spoken, ladies and gentlemen. Ironcaster.
Oh man, I was saying earlier today that this issue really impressed me. I mean, there's a lot to really kind of unpack with this one. The build up of Doc Connors, where he's like slowly regressing. He's kind of starting to lose it, and he's pushing his family away. He becomes this very sympathetic character but he's still turning into the Lizard. He's still gonna apparently try to take over the world with lizards. And when he goes full Lizard, and he's fighting Spider-Man at that level, the Lizard is a character who is fighting Spider-Man on his level, and essentially that someone who, he can't climb up a wall and get out of his range. No, it's someone who can climb up right after him and get up in his face, fight him. He has to fight the Lizard at a range, at distance. And his options become very limited because, well, the Lizard can just rip right through his webbing. This is, I would say, one of the most dangerous foes at this point for him. In many ways, more dangerous than Doom. Whereas Doom is the high intellect, high thinking, but the Lizard is primal.
Killer. Got anything else?
I mean, plus it's also great to see more Jameson here.
Oh God, Jameson is great in this issue. No, Cassie, you're right. I think, and you guys are welcome to debate me on this, but I truly feel like Jonah Jameson is one of the greatest supporting characters in history.
Absolutely.
Not Spider-Man
Yes, he is.
history, not Marvel history. I'm talking about history in general. He's got instant look. He's got recognizable speech. He's one
His
of those
desires are just so simple. He wants one thing and one thing alone.
Yep.
Pictures of Spider-Man.
Men only want one thing, and it's disgusting. And is the photo of Jonah Jameson. I want photos of Spider-Man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Perry White would send Clark Kent all over the place on all sorts of different stories. Jameson just wants one thing.
Jameson is so much of an asshole in this issue, man.
Yeah, he is.
I feel for JJJ because it's all about the picture. It's all about the selling the newspapers. Without those pictures, he doesn't sell newspapers. Give me the pictures, sells newspapers. Here's your check for $25, Peter. Like it's
Yep.
it's all about the dollars, man, and that's what it is. And that's you gotta love a character that you know his motivation from issue 1.
Yeah. You know,
The great thing is we get to see more of that in, not to jump ahead too much, but the next issue you get to see more of that with him as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, do we ever? No. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Oh, and to play what you said, Nick, you're so right. He's one of the greatest characters of them all because he's such an original character. Because if you think about it, because as D-Bud mentions, quite rightly mentions Perry White, he's the anti-Perry White. Perry White's a tough grinder, but he loves his people. Jonah Jameson doesn't care about anything and doesn't care about anybody until he starts hating Spider-Man. And these early points where he didn't really hate him, he just wanted to use him, but they started to refine his character more the way he became almost a villain in the series, and yet not a super, just an adversary.
Mm-hmm.
And he's no one had really seen anything like that with a quote unquote character in a supporting cast before.
We also
like that in any superhero book.
We also get to see that he's not a bad guy because there are some times when you have that one panel where he's kind of like this softy, right?
Yes.
And he makes a decision that goes more for Peter and his employees than it would be to sell the papers, and that's what really makes you attracted to the character because he's really not that bad of a guy.
No.
He's just got a singular purpose, and that's to sell papers.
And later it's developed into a sort of a disdain for a sort of a prejudice against super people.
True.
Yeah. It is.
No. Listen. JJJ is not prejudiced. He hates everybody the same.
They developed a dislike for superheroes and super people.
The other thing I really like with him is the way Spider-Man just gives him shit, and it's all just fairly harmless fun where he'll just kind of web him up and you'll fall the foot or so. You'll be fine.
Spider-Man. Sorry.
No, that was actually good, Clobby. That was actually a good voice impression.
Parker, we never let Spider-Man play in any reindeer games.
Parker.
The same guy did the voice on the Rankin and Bass as Donner on the Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yeah, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You've seen the old Rankin and Bass? That's Donner's voice. Yeah.
No.
Let's not forget the diverse character that's in the Spider-Man pantheon that always looks out for Peter.
Mm-hmm.
J. Jonah is always like, why do you always look out for that kid? Well, because he's a good photographer, Jonah. Like we have there's a great cast of characters that
Robbie's
are
great.
Yeah, exactly. See, I knew you would get it.
Oh, I love Robbie. Robbie's a great character as well.
Oh, Robertson?
A great character. Yes.
Oh, big fan of Robertson.
Hasn't popped up
big
yet, I don't
fan.
think.
I love him.
He is not.
Yeah, I love this character in the '90s cartoon. I always thought he knew Peter was Spider-Man.
Who, Robbie? I think he did.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Just like Captain Stacy did.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they work together. So Stacy knew.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you got to figure Robbie did.
All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Clobby, D-Bud, maybe you can help me. So I'm thinking of Robbie's first appearance, and I'm trying to remember. Is it like? I don't think it was in the first 25 issues. Was it like 50 or?
I'm thinking Ramita run. Wasn't
Yeah,
it
was Ramita sometime in that.
I think you're right. I think Ramita Senior.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like it was late 60s, right? It was like 50.
Believe so.
It was probably around there.
51, 52.
I don't have numbers, but
Oh,
you're probably right.
That sounds right. I think it was around in that era.
because he was born in Harlem, right? He was like the he had the tough upbringing. He was like divorced. He had the tough kid. Like That storyline was, I think it was in the 50s, 60s. I'm thinking of Amazing Spider-Man.
And he was probably the first black character in a supporting. In fact, I know he was in a Marvel comic or in any comic, no supporting character cast.
Yeah, great character that has survived for 50 years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Robertson.
Yeah, shout out to Robbie Robertson. Shout out. Great supporting character. All right, so, and with that, as Andres like to say, Pablo, you have been so patient waiting for your turn to talk about this amazing issue.
Okay, let's begin with Florida is maybe the only place where the lizard can actually execute his plan, because if he does it on cold weather, he's just screwed. Automatically, all lizards just stop functioning on the cold. His plan is just a pile of garbage. So being in Florida, okay, he may get some hot states under his control before somebody does anything, but instead of Spider-Man,
Canada's safe.
Yeah.
Basically,
Canada is completely safe.
Yeah, too much snow and beavers for them to invade.
I don't.
And
like
we could
snow.
survive on maple syrup forever.
I don't like snow. It's cold.
Maple syrup and poutine.
It's wet and it gets everywhere.
No.
I thought it was sand that got everywhere. Snow gets everywhere because it's water.
Well, we're doing the Canadian version of the speech.
Oh, okay.
But also, Spider-Man is just an asshole in, next couple of issues, he will be an asshole permanently, because first he cheats on J. Jonah to get the ticket. The way that he accepts the duel with the lizard is just going to the Daily Bugle and he's like, yeah, I will do it. And then he goes as Peter Parker, give me money. Jonah does.
I mean,
Jonah wants photos. That he'll do anything to get photos of Spider-Man.
It's so stupid because he goes in the trip. Jonah goes in the trip with Parker. And when Parker finally gets him the photo, he's like, no, this is garbage. The lizard doesn't exist, and rips the photo. And the money for the plane ticket actually gets into Parker's next payment. So basically, Parker got screwed by Jonah in the most stupid way possible. But yeah, Peter is a genius. He has access to the research from Connors, right? Because he goes to his house and, that's a Deus Ex Machina, but he ends up on his house. He discovers his wife and his son, and he gets access to the research, so he can actually make a cure. But then he knows that he is underpowered. He tries to get rid of the crocodiles, just getting out of a building, and then he has to fight close combat with the lizard that he is not capable of, and he gets wrecked. But in the last moment, he gets away to get the vial on the lizard's mouth and return him to Connors. And that panel where he is coming back to Connors, that is the only part that I think they did perfectly on that Spider-Man movie, because that's almost exactly the same transformation, starting with the hand and then going with the face and how it starts to become human. That's the same process, and that's iconic. It's the only way that I can describe it. Is completely iconic. It's one of the first characters that is not a villain that ends up on bars. This time Peter actually saves Connor. So it's not like Dr. Otto Octavius, that after his fight, basically he has his arms soldered and go to prison. No, this is like, I will return you to your family. And one of the last panels is actually the son of Connors sleeping on his bed. So it's more like, I will return you to your family life. And then he goes to his family life, and Aunt May is like, oh, good that you are back from the travel. Go do chores.
All right, dude. Pablo, I'm so glad you brought that because that once again brings it back to the
Aunt May was a
relatability.
huge pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Dude, but no, you're right, Fenrir, in that regard, but it brings it back to that relatability of Peter Parker. Like, he just went out there, took on this giant iguana-esque creature, not a reference to the iguana, but it's just like he went out there and saved lives and helped a family become whole again. And now here he is back at home living with his aunt, and hey, you got to go do this. Like, your body, little does she know, his body is torn the hell apart from a fight with the lizard. She's expecting him just be normal tired, like teenager
Yeah, I
tired.
know
Like,
they wanted to draw Peter as a noble character, a goody-goody two-shoes, but seriously, the way they made Aunt May behave every time was just beyond the normal capacity a person could resist. Holy crud.
But also,
no.
Peter, he's just okay. Normally, you will have this really good character as a superhero. Instead, you
Mm-hmm.
have a Spider-Man that is Peter Parker, and at this point, he's just a teenager being an asshole all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, this issue is just that, and the next issue is just that, and the next issue is just that, because Peter is kind of just a jerk, but he has a heart, so he knows when to stop being a jerk, save people, and then do a quip and laugh at somebody just because. So
Mm-hmm.
he's a different character. It's not like Superman that is all good, or like Batman that is all brooding. He's just a guy and he doesn't care.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I like too. I mean, to expand upon everything you've said, this is now that the book has gone on for a few months now, and they're basically confirming in the story that this is an ongoing comic book series. Now they can start teasing what's coming at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a wonderful panel here with the shadow of Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. And you see it's the first time a villain is returning to a comic book series. And I know some of you guys here on the panel are absolutely stoked to talk about that particular issue. So let me get out of this one so we can transition on over to the return of the Vulture, because this, once again, I love this cover. And maybe this, I'll admit this could be the Spider-Man fanboy in me speaking, but I love this cover. And of course, I love seeing the return of the Vulture, and the fact that he's just this old man flying gives Peter a hard time. For me, it kind of gives me some jollies. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of does. So
Is another scientist. That's the
yes.
good part of the Vulture. He's another scientist. So if a Spider-Man can do something, the Vulture will counterattack with science.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you know what, Pablo, while you're here, why don't you sound off on this amazing issue? I did it again.
Oh man, let's begin with the obvious. Here we actually get confirmation that Jonah Jameson don't actually hate Spider-Man. He wants money. So he's like,
Yes.
I need to sell issues. I need Spider-Man to be the villain because if I don't have a villain, I cannot sell papers. So Spider-Man is evil. That's it. And it's just a good way to just give you his perspective. I know then he starts to go against vigilantes and everything. I don't think it's all about superpowers. It's more like out of the law superpowers. But he at the beginning has one objective. I want money. Then you have the Vulture that is a genius level supervillain that actually in jail with things that you can get just randomly working on jail, he can create this new flight system using magnetism and reverse polarity so Spider-Man cannot cancel his field and flies away.
All right, hold that thought. Eric K, the almighty wrench of wrenches of all the wrenches. How you doing, sir? I really, 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 really hope in a few months, come Orlando, we're gonna be hanging together, drinking more expensive drinks and eating more expensive burgers. Shout out to the great Eric K, everyone. So if you see him, acknowledge the great Che. Carry on, Pablo. If you got anything more, of course.
Is that the Vulture is just a genius, and in this we see him besting Spider-Man in every single way possible, even in close quarters combat when they are in the printing room. The only reason why Spider-Man actually got an upper hand is because he knew Tom will try to get out of the building. So out of the building, he just incapacitates the arms and makes this parachute, and that's it. He's like, you are no longer my problem. You cannot fight. Go to the police by yourself. Which is an interesting way of a Spider-Man of dealing with villains. But all the rest of the time, Tom's is just joking. Basically, is laughing at the Spider-Man trying to be a superhero while failing because, well, the Vulture is smarter in this issue.
Agreed.
Oh, by the way, Spider-Man fails with his webbing 3 times in this issue, so he is not perfect on his aim, and yes, he gets his arm bashed, and then he has to act like he's perfectly as a Spider-Man because he has shown as Peter Parker that his arm is off, and then he gets cuddles with Betty, so everything was worth it.
Dude, I don't know if any of us are gonna top that off, but we're gonna give it a valiant effort. Clubby, did you want to say anything about this issue?
Not much other than I thought some of the art. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Again, just I have not read this one in a long time until I was just flipping through it just now, actually. And so I'm sorry, I'm so underprepared, but I do find the art interesting. But I'll give you a little fun fact, at least. You know what other comic debuted this actually on the last comic issue we were doing, number 6. When we were doing number 6, that same month, Avengers #1 came out.
See, that's why Clobby is the wisest owl in our group.
I wouldn't say that. Look how prepared I am. And just to give you an example of some of the comics coming out at the time, we're only on number 7 of Spidey. You know, you already have number 21 of Fantastic Four coming out at this point. Number 2 on this issue, for the Avengers, when Thor's in his early days. So yeah, it's early on in the Marvel Universe. But proceed, gentlemen who are more prepared than I and have read it more recently than I. Although I'm looking at it now while you guys are talking and reading it.
Nice. So that means when 9 through 12 next week, we're all gonna be.
I will read them. I'll catch up. I promise.
Nice, cool. No, and we'll have Mr. Dave, who's in the chat, hanging out. He's gonna be on next week as well. So this is gonna be a very Spiderific panel next week.
Excellent.
But anyways, carrying on with this issue. Anything else you want to add, Clobby?
Sorry, I already muted there, buddy. So, no, I'm good, man.
Okay, killer. Fenrir, take it away.
I'm gonna be sincere. This one didn't feel that special for me. I mean, it was a good tale, but it didn't have much of the glamour. I'm giving about 5.56, maybe. Look, I'm giving
I will just ask you to reconsider thinking about this. Peter actually shows he's a player, and he gets Betty just with words.
Okay. For that one, I'll make it an 8.
There you go.
Okay, he's not getting kicked off. He has a spot here. Oh, and also the Time Prophet is going good night. Hey, Time Prophet, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Good night. All right. Nice seeing you again. All right. Take care. All right, Fender, carry on.
Yeah, and in sports it wasn't that much, but yeah, I enjoyed the art. It was interesting. The movements and strategic combat between the Vulture and Spidey was good. But that not much.
All right. The man is brief and to the point. That was Fenrir the Ice Wolf on ASM number 7. Thoth, take it away.
I hate to say this. No, actually, I don't hate to say this, but I'm in agreement with Clobby and probably Fenrir here, actually. I think Vulture is a great character. I think that an elderly man that can fly around and do what he does is just hilarious. I think it's a fun issue. It's obvious that the writer and the inker and the artist here had a lot of fun with this, because I love the art, love the story. This is classic Spider-Man, and so it's a fun story. It's a fun villain. I actually like the Vulture because I have a soft spot for him. I think he's a great villain. Not because he appeared in a recent Spider-Man movie and was played by one of my favorite actors of all time, but and actually, I think that was a pretty good interpretation of him. Because in the comic books he's kind of a joke, but in the movie they made him actually have a backstory and a raison d'etre that allowed him to move forward in the kind of the Spider-Man mythos.
Oh, what about the Spectacular Spider-Man version? That one was kind of
No,
okay.
the 90s cartoon, that is a good way to do the Vulture, because they actually gave him a full arc, and he ends up as a baby.
The Tablet of Time. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So
carry on, Thoth.
It's no. That's great, guys. I appreciate the feedback because I agree with you 100%. I think the character has grown as we've gone onwards into the Spider-Man mythos and into the decades of the future, like into the the 2000 aughts, the 2010s, and onward. And I think originally the character was more of a joke than he was a supervillain, but as he's grown, I think he's just become a better supervillain for Spider-Man. And it was a fun issue. I like it. It's still one of the best issues of all time.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. That was Lord Thoth, and shout out to Awesome One. How you doing? Long time no see. Welcome back. Dark Shadow Logan, how are you, sir?
Hey,
nice
Logan.
to see you too.
Hey there.
DSL, man. Good to see you.
Yeah. Another book that came out that month I forgot about?
Ooh, go on.
Another number 2, X-Men number 2, Avengers number 2, and X-Men number 2 this very month. Ooh. So just giving you an idea of where we were in the Marvel history.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, we all like our number 2s, but this number 2 has more meaning than other number 2s. So
number 2s
They were
are
getting
a relief,
serious.
man. They're a relief.
Man. All right.
I'm just taking the football and running for the end zone, man. That's the way I do it.
Okay. So you scored the touchdown. It wasn't a blowout. All right.
You should try out for that new USFL that's coming out next week.
I'd probably be a superstar in that league. It's going to be a joke.
Okay. D-Bud, ASM number 7. Thoughts, analysis, whatever. He wants to be a show-off, so we're going to let him be a show-off.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Everyone just do your best mangasm.
And when Clobby was talking about that Avengers, number 1 was from the last issue. So, of course, Avengers number 2
is advertised in there. Yep.
came out.
There's also an advertisement for X-Men number 2 in the back.
Well, I don't have it in mind because that page got torn out of here.
Oh, shoot.
By the former owner of it.
You know, D-Bud, the digital I'm looking at from that old disc looks about in that same condition.
Maybe they copied off of that one.
It might be.
Maybe it's the same. I had a bootleg version of a lot of Spider-Man issues, the main Spider-Man issues from, it was 2002, 3?
4.
Okay.
I have the same one. That's the one we both have.
Maybe the same, but I had the bootleg. So, yeah, mine costed like $2.
What do you think I have? A buddy of mine gave it to me on a thumb drive.
Oh, nice.
Sherry.
With the
Sherry. How you
Sherry.
doing, Sherry? Notice all the men just got excited.
Hey, Sherry.
Well, you've got to see what her avatar is going to be.
Yep.
She's got the best avatars.
Yeah. Yes, she has.
Yeah, she does.
Indeed.
Well, of course, I've got more to show. Because the
Yeah,
Vulture
now?
is another one of my favorite characters. Of course, those are my earliest back issues. But again, the Vulture, the next time he showed up was in the Sinister Six in Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1, which I don't have that one. But then he didn't show up again until in the Ramita run.
Oh wow.
That art is beautiful.
Except this is an Adrian Toomes.
Damn.
Is Vulture
This-
number 2?
This is Blackie Drago, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Completely
Because
different.
in this issue,
hide in
you
the
find
face.
out that he's a Adrian Toomes' cellmate, and he actually Toomes gets into a accident in the prison workshop and is fatally injured supposedly. And it turns out he wants to talk to his cellmate, which is Blackie, and he tells him where he's hidden some of the Vulture wings outside the prison. And Blackie goes, "Oh, that's great. That's just what I wanted to know, because I set up the accident that you were in so I could get the wings from you."
Total villain move.
As he's on his deathbed, he's like, I tricked you into letting me be the Vulture. And he becomes a pretty good Vulture in this. But this is a two-part issue. Oh, and by the way, the price that I paid for this is still written on the back. A whole 35 cents.
Wow.
Oh,
That's like
Really?
triple cover price almost.
That's above cover.
Triple cover.
Mm-hmm.
That's highway robbery, man. You got taken. That's a terrible price. I mean,
he looks
What am
so
I going to do? It's the
miserable
only
about
way I
it.
could get it.
is that
It was only
35
comic
cents
store in
Canadian?
town.
Or is that 35 cents American?
He looks like
Phony-
he looks
phony
like
money.
he's having trouble coping with
Oh,
his
my.
decisions. Oh,
Now we're looking at a cover with one of my favorite supervillains.
Oh,
Craven?
wow.
Yes,
Craven.
that football player, Craven the Punter.
Okay,
This is actually probably my favorite single issue of a comic book ever. I just love this story. It's got the Vulture, it's got Craven. Spider-Man's just like my internet girlfriend 6. He's got the flu.
That is a great issue. That's
Yeah,
a great
it's
issue.
I love this story. I first read it in Marvel Tales reprint of this and the previous issue, and I just love this issue.
Wow.
Which, of course, is one of the reasons why I kept it. Was it has the Vulture and Craven? How can you lose?
You're not gonna
Right?
slab
Sure,
that.
Craven
You're
that
it's a
issue
double
now.
whammy.
not gonna
Love
slab
this.
that one, are you?
No, I don't slab any of this stuff.
I
I
know.
can't read it if I slab it.
I wanted to add
I
something.
mean, I would be able to open this up and look at all this beautiful
Oh, that's
artwork.
You have. I know you have. I know you have the Masterworks, but I hear you.
I'll let Pablo go, and then I'll talk about slabbing and stuff.
Oh, I just wanted to add that isn't interesting that some of the characters that actually really mess with the Spider-Man are the ones that are more savage than intelligent. For example, with the Lizard, he had the problem with the violent, with the savage part of the Lizard. And same with Craven. Every single time that he faces someone that is intelligent but also is just savage, that goes with raw strength, he actually has a lot of trouble. It's like Spider-Man doesn't know how to counter both of the same attributes that he has at the same time. So Craven is intelligent and is powerful. Spider-Man, Craven last count. What else can I say? And the Lizard is exactly the same. It's just that violence with intelligence that Spider-Man don't know how to handle.
Yeah, it's harder for him. Yeah, that's a good observation.
All right, what else he's showing off?
Well, this is the next
Double trouble.
Vulture story.
Oh,
And it's revealed that Adrian Toomes got so mad at Blackie Drago for trying to kill him to get his wings that it gave him the will to live, and he survived.
he's alive.
And he winds
God,
up.
I love that comic book logic that gets off the window.
He
Great
just,
cover.
I was gonna die, but I just, I'm so pissed off at him. I'm just gonna live.
It's like an alcoholic.
that
You can
guy.
never figure out what's going to happen.
That's a great cover.
This is a beautiful cover, and he hunts down Drago, and he hands him a pair of vulture wings and says, "You know what? Since you pulled all that stuff, I'm going to show you who's the better vulture.
I'll show you who's boss.
And I'm going to kick your ass, buddy." And he does.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
Living the beating, man.
And look at that. What's Jameson there saying?
Where's my photographer?
What a photographer!
All I want is pictures of Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's a menace. I'm sorry.
Dude, you're so good at that voice, Clubby.
Parker! I'm sorry.
Gene Parker, where's that? Oh,
Sorry, you know,
Spider-Man.
you're kind of hitting on in the stride here, because that's when Spider-Man really hit his stride. That like the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, there are some unbelievable great comics in that era.
Unreal.
This Romita stuff is just fantastic. But
Right.
I wanted to point one other thing out, because as we were going through the story for issue 7, you notice he had a bad arm from falling. Notice the little pain lines on his arm in this issue,
Yep.
and I think it's even the same
Psychosomatic, man.
arm. It's almost as if Stan ran out of ideas. But here he goes. He's just
I think he
swigging
didn't
in.
go to his physiotherapist. That's what it was. After issue, the 6, 7, 8, 9, where he gets pounded, he didn't go to the physiotherapist. So obviously his arm is hurting a few months later.
And he just goes right back, right on that same
Yeah.
arm he does in the issue, issue number
I love
7.
those
He winds
panels.
up with the same problem.
Stan was busy giving lectures at college campuses and stuff at that point. So,
There's a great splash.
He was
of
getting the
Vulture.
ladies.
Oh, I love the
man.
shadowing of the Vulture.
But you gotta,
Don Heck
shout
Eaton.
out,
And Don-
shout
yeah,
out
Don
to
Heck
Romita
is the
Senior.
Beatles, yes.
Shout out to Romita Senior, because I there's some really, really good stuff he's done over the decades of his work, and even Junior. Oh, look at that! Perfect. Thank you, Matthew. That's perfect. Perfect segue there. And I think you know what, that family has really done a lot for comic books. We could really use a Stan Lee or a Romita Senior or Junior or Kirby or anything right now.
Yo,
Yep.
That's probably my
desperately.
favorite Vulture cover of them all right there because of that
Yeah,
backdrop.
This one, the backdrop is beautiful. That black and white cityscape. It's beautiful stuff.
Romita did that a couple of times, even when he fought, when Vulture actually fought Daredevil, remember? When Spidey fought Daredevil, he did that.
I love Crits there. Crits, yeah. Stanley posing for Playgirl around this time. Yeah.
Well,
good times, man. The 60s were a good time.
he was hanging out with the hippies and a lot of the campuses and all that.
Yep. Smoking
Yeah.
the weed and hanging out with the hippies.
Yeah.
Excelsior!
Since I was in the box, this is for Clobby, really. These aren't Spider-Mans, but I just wanted to show Clobby these.
Oh my! Big John Buscema, love it. That's a great Hulk thing fight right there, bud. That's
Enough
great.
said.
One
Yes,
of my
but
favorite Hulk
this
thing
one-
battles.
This is I think the third Fantastic Four comic I ever bought off the shelves at the rack in 7-Eleven.
I bet he already knows
Oh
what
my goodness! I did too. Saw the green background. That is one of my favorite thing covers. You guys should see the
Yeah, I
present.
know. I could guess.
Okay.
I didn't need you to tell me that. I knew
You
you'd
should see-
love this one.
Later, I
We
gotta
need
show
to
you
do
guys.
Fantastic Four. We need to do Fantastic Four.
We'll
Yes.
do one. Okay. So you know that feeling you feel when you've had like 3 or 4 Baconators and you've got like that heavy breathing, you got the meat sweats
Bacon.
coming down? That's how I felt looking at that cover. It's just like,
Wait
I
a
felt like
minute.
I got the comic sweats and the heavy breathing was intensifying. Because
Did
of
you
the
say
feeling of-
3 or 4 Baconators? Oh my God! How are you still alive?
Because
How your arteries not totally.
Sodium
clogged.
content alone is like, oh.
dude,
It's
I've
all
done
the
like
preservatives. He's gonna live forever.
I've got like 7. I've downed like 7 or 8 straight patties at max. That's been like my record, like 7 or 8 Wendy's patties straight. One day I'll get to 9 and 10 in the setting. One day I'll get there.
Well, some of us are still waiting for your review of the Batman Calzone.
Oh, dude.
Ahem.
So
Webpage.
that it was
Yay.
supposed to happen earlier this week, and there's a reason why Toxic Tuesday didn't happen. There's a reason why that didn't happen yet. and that all plays into the crazy week I've had. I'm hoping if I get lucky, I can do it tomorrow. So fingers crossed, I can do it tomorrow. So let's hope that happens. If not, Monday at latest. And yes, I'm very lucky that I can eat the way I do and still live, because that's just, well,
Yeah, give him a few years, folks, and then his metabolism will change.
Okay,
But
so
speaking of getting lucky, oh, you just changed the page, because there was Pete getting lucky with Betty Brant.
He's up all night to get
the
lucky.
Start of their actual romance.
We'll go back. We'll let you talk about this issue, because you're showing off your bits, and we didn't even get to the actual issue. So talk about this issue, D Bud.
Yeah, I of course I love this issue. It's like I said before, it's a fun issue. It's got a lot of action in it. It's got several pages of action. It's got a lot of humor in it. It's got Jameson sitting there confronting the Vulture and going, I can't give you my payroll. You'd wipe me out. It's like, but I'll shoot you. But you'll wipe out my payroll. You can't I'll give you anything else.
He's like, I have a gun.
Yeah, he's got it right in Jonah's face. He's just, no, I'll give you anything else. You'll ruin my paper. And that's all he's thinking about. But and then of course it has romance here at the end.
I love this ending.
The very beginning of Peter and Betty Brant's romance. And it's a funny, great way to end the book. I mean, he's usually, a lot of Spider-Man stories, he's not great at the end, but this one is probably the best ending he ever had in a book. Other than
the first of a few happy endings. No sexual pun intended, because no, but you have a point, because it's one of those, like, when Spider-Man wins, he also loses. He wins and he loses, and this was a win-win all around.
Yep. Yeah, and he gets to pull one on Ironcaster. I mean Jonah Jameson there with the webbed up mouth, and winds up with a girl at the end. But yeah, this issue is just a blast. I love the returning character, the Vulture. I really wish they would have done more with them back in the day. But yeah, this is just a fun issue.
It's funny you said something that made me think, actually, D-Bud. And
well, it's about time. You should try that more often.
Well, you know what? To be honest, I spend 12 hours a day, 7 days a week thinking, and I prefer to come on and talk about comic books, because I really don't have to think about it, because it strikes me in my heart and my soul. I love comic books, and it's no work at all. But what you said, and that's why I appreciate you being a part of the team, D-Bud, is because you said something that was very interesting, that the ending. You talked about the ending. And a lot of these comics, the ending is like falling off a cliff in some cases, right? Because you have a great story, it's a good story, and then bam, this hero saves the day or solves the problem in like 6 panels or 9 panels, whatever it is in the last page of the comic, right? I remember that from a lot of the ROM comic books and a lot of the comics of the 80s, where everything was solved in the last page. And what I really miss about the Silver Age and even a lot of the Bronze Age stuff, in the 70s, especially 80s, early 80s of comic books, was the story percolated throughout the whole comic. You had hints right from the very first color page, the splash page. You got the hints throughout it. You've got your secondary characters. They come up with ideas. The hero puts it all together, and then bam, at the end, it's done. And a lot of cases in today's comics and modern comics is
you need to buy 12 different issues from 12 different stories to even understand what the hell's going on.
God, Fenrir, you hit exactly where I was going. Bam, right on, man. It's exactly it. And you're so confused that you throw the comic in the corner when you're done, and you're like,
because you just don't care anymore.
What did I just read? Like, and it never sticks with you. But these comic books, when you've got the Vulture and you've got Lizard and you've got all of these great characters and the stories, they stick with you for literally decades.
Mhm.
And that's what's so attractive about these old comics and what's so sad about modern comics.
Well, and there's a lot of content in these. I mean, if you
Right?
were to look at the number of panels in this issue, it's probably equivalent to 3 or 4 issues of modern comics. There could be
Yeah.
there's possibly 100 panels in this issue,
No, D-Bud,
and
that
they're very dense. There's a lot of stuff going on in these, a lot of dialogue, and you can't read them in. It
5
takes at least
minutes.
15 minutes to read them.
Yeah, no,
at
yeah,
least.
like, well, here's the thing: if you speed rush it, where you just strictly look at the dialogue and reading it like quickly, yeah, 10,
15
maybe
minutes
15
tops.
minutes. But if you're actually taking on, like, if you're reading the dialogue almost like the way you're reading or listening to an audiobook, I would say 15, 20, because you want to have the right voices in mind. You want to, when they emphasize on the words, or they highlight them a bit darker, you want to emphasize all the different emotions being conveyed, which is what I like to do with my reading. And I want to hear the particular voices, so my mind is adjusting to each and every particular expression, tonality, dialogue. And so for me, reading this issue, yeah, it's around 20 minutes on average for me. And yeah, it's not disposable entertainment, because you're really sitting with the story for a bit and trying to, invest yourself in it and put yourself lost in the midst of the story. And yeah, everything nowadays, you get like 50 words in 20-21 pages, especially modern day Marvel, and you're done in 5 minutes. And the irony and the crazy part is, you're spending a lot more money for literally a whole lot less story, a whole lot less.
And you probably
you know
don't
what's the
need to go
problem?
back
What's
and
the problem
reread
here?
any of it.
You know what's the main
These you
problem
do.
here? It's not just that it's lesser story and a lot more dialogue, because manga has done that and they did it successfully. But it's just that it's just so stupid and uninteresting. You just don't give a damn.
But D-Bed said it right. You know what? I agree 100%, because there is no reason to go back and reread these comics that are modern comics nowadays. It is a rare story that you want to go back and reread. I can say recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. Like, I love The Last Ronin. I think it's a great storyline, but that is storyline that was developed back in like the 80s. Like that's just something that has come to the fore now because of the writers and the artists of that wanting to put it together and tell a story that should have been told 30 years ago. A lot of modern comics today is a product of modern sensibilities and the way we look at things, and it's too bad, because a lot of us old folks, and you know what, I include every single person in this panel, because no matter
It's
if
not
you're in
just
your
you old
20s,
folks, even the young
yeah,
ones.
no, it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s. If you appreciate old gold and silver, bronze age comic books like we all do, I'm hoping that's why we're here. You can appreciate great storytelling, and what's going on today is not great storytelling.
No, he's not. He's basically going through the motions, trying to get the money, but there's no soul, there's no passion, and a lot of these issues, for
It's
example,
just
the Spider-Man,
corporate dumbassery.
the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, it was more the writer and the artist trying to get through their own personal deals, trying to
Hey, speaking
figure
of the
out
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they're not gonna get a sixth turtle.
Oh yeah,
Venus.
We'll say that
Yeah.
for another thing. But yes, I heard, because she is an obscure turtle from a one season
Yeah.
show that
And
didn't
now she's the
last.
magical cyborg thing. Because she can't be equal, she has to be better.
Yes, but we're yeah, that's a whole
that sounds
other
familiar.
But Dark Shadow has a great comment here. Peter had an injured arm. Betty could at least give him a hand, or maybe I interpret it as funny. So, I don't know what his intent was there, but for me, I only saw comedy gold with that comment. So
that makes the final line of the issue better. We admit it. This isn't a typical ending for a typical superhero tale, but we never claimed that Spider-Man was a typical superhero. In fact, next issue he does the same very untypical things.
all right, so I
Getting a handle.
I didn't get to get in
Oh,
real quick there.
Caster. Yeah, go on ahead. I'm so sorry. We're obviously on that one for a while. I didn't even realize. So go ahead.
This
before I
one
even
was
move forward.
this one was actually very much fun.
All right, go ahead, Caster.
So I did want to point out with it that while Jameson is being basically held at gunpoint, he's the OG who's gonna try to pay his robber in exposure.
Yes, that's really.
I just wanted. I was thinking about that bit. I was just thinking about that all day, and I want to be even sharing that panel online today. I just wanted to at least get that little bit in.
No, you're good, dude. Well, since you're already here, we'll let you have the honors of talking about this issue first. Since you wait so patiently, why not have a moment to shine? Talk about this amazing Spider-Man number 8, which is a kind of non-villain issue. And you got 2 separate stories going on. Why don't you take your time and talk about this issue?
Well, I mean, this is kind of one of the first villains we get for Spider-Man that didn't become an A-lister. Like, until, what was it? The whole Superior Spider-Man Living Brain just kind of fell by the wayside and was totally forgotten, and it was pulled up as a sort of last minute, like, oh, whatever. By the way, I love this that panel right there of Flash getting decked.
Oh yeah. Wow.
But this is one of those big payoffs for Peter. This is all right, fine. I guess we're gonna throw down. This is a chance to finally fight, and you're getting to see here that more of that building of the whole idea of the great power, comes a great responsibility, where he's worried about it for so long. Of if I let loose, if I'm not careful, much in a Superman-like fashion, I'm gonna hurt someone. And this is a chance. This is a time where you get to see that where he accidentally does just let go a little bit. So you gotta really stop and think when he's fighting his villains. Even then, he's holding back.
Didn't Superman started to do that later? At the beginning, Superman didn't have really a power gauge. He was just as powerful as it needed, but he never held back until Spider-Man was doing it, as I recall.
That would be one of the guys to answer. I had no answer.
What do you mean, like holding back so he doesn't destroy things? And all that kind of
Actually saying that he's holding back, actually presenting that moral dilemma, because Spider-Man is the first one to actually do that, as I recall.
Superman had to watch that too after he started, early on, a little after, somewhere in the 40s when they started establishing how powerful he was. Did they ratify it in some stories, saying Superman watches his powers and stuff like that? Who knows what first story that's been mentioned in, but I don't think Spider-Man was the first one.
Did you guys lose connection with Clubby?
Yeah, I mean, just look at that design there. I mean,
I'm not there?
Right there in that panel where he just used one small fraction of his power, and that looks like you get a concussion from that.
You guys don't hear me?
No, I hear you.
I can hear you fine.
I hear you now. Okay. I lost you for a little bit, so I guess maybe it's just the connection on my end. So I apologize.
That hotel Wi-Fi.
Connection was shot for a few seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just blame the hotel Wi-Fi at the Crown Plaza. You would think Crown Plaza would have it together, but oh well. All right. So, Caster, anything else you want to add?
I mean, yeah, not really. This is kind of, I would say, of the lot, this is probably the weaker issue because it doesn't really have it certainly doesn't have a memorable villain to hold it up. I mean, this is a time where he's fighting technology. Yeah, it's the living brain of someone who's able to analyze them and figure them out, but it's still just kind of it still doesn't hold the charm of the Vulture or the Lizard or Dr. Octopus.
All right. Clubby, anything you want to say on ASM number 8?
Well, it's the only thing that's really notable or remarkable about it is the fact that it has a story penciled by Jack Kirby and inked by Steve Ditko for that secondary story. The first story,
Yes.
Brain. You're all right about the brain. That was just kind of a weirdo type thing. But that's so I don't have much to say about that story. It was kind of odd, but the second story I have a few things to say about. If you want to, whenever you're ready to get to that.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll just go to it right now so you can talk about it.
I've never really understood the story because when I first read it way back, I don't know how long ago it was. It's kind of Spider-Man just shows up to start a fight with Johnny for no reason.
Yeah, it's because Spider-Man is an asshole, and he's literally that. He sees Johnny doing his tricks, and he's
like, steal his girl. Yeah,
yeah. Spider-Man has always been that.
Well, yeah. Again, I look the Johnny and Peter, the Torch Spidey friendship is one of my probably favorite one of all the comics as far as buddy stuff. But they started off on the wrong foot, though, of course, as everyone knows. But it grew up to be one of the great friendships in comics. However, it was funny when they were just trying to get in on each other's nerves and stuff like that. What was bizarre about the story, it's just so over the top that he goes after his girlfriend, and then the FF show up and team up on him, and he wants to start fighting them. It was it was very fillerish. It's like they didn't really have much going for them with the story. They just wanted to have a big fight because they had nothing really else to do with the issue. The whole story, the whole issue was filler stuff. To be perfectly honest with you.
Okay, yeah. So I can see why you feel that. All right, Fenrir.
I'm gonna say it.
There he is.
10 out of 10. I like seeing Flash get knocked out for a second. Enjoyed the fight between Johnny and Peter. I really enjoy how Johnny is more creative in the past with his fire powers instead of just throwing fireballs around and flying. It's fun. Really enjoy it. Plus, Spidey's ability to survive against enemies of all status and levels is impressive, especially the FF. I mean, damn, he held his own escaping there for a second.
Also, it ends with Peter Parker throwing all the other students onto thinking that Flash Thompson is Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
a good one.
But Pablo has a good point. Peter Parker's an asshole. They need to make him an asshole again, not a scrawny little bitch who takes it from everybody. He needs to be the one that gives. He needs to be an asshole. So I give it a 10 out of 10.
All right, no, dude, that's badass. I'm going to say Fenrir. I actually I don't know if I'll rank it as high, but I'm equally as or close to being as enthusiastic about the issue because you see it revolve around the supporting cast. You see it revolving around Peter dealing with, even though the living brain looks dumb, the fact that it notices his ability so quickly that Spider-Man can't make the same move twice because it'll pick on it within the flip of a switch. So he has to be very selective with what he does to combat against this thing. And the fact that his students are in danger, not just like the town, but like the actual classmates are in danger, is really like, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. Oh crap, this is involving the kids at school. And of course, you got the Flash story. You see him level Flash, and then he gets to deflect the identity because of that machine that was supposed to, give away the identity. Because if you put in enough information, and I love how he was able to deflect away from that, make people think, oh, Flash is really Spider-Man. It's like, oh, Flash, of course it's you. Because, of course, people would deny that they're Spider-Man. And then I love the last page where Spidey's just like, I can't send you guys a Fantastic Four, but I like you, Sue. And he leaves a heart of webbing. So it wasn't just Namor who was crushing on Sue, but it was our boy Peter Parker. So I personally,
let's be honest, Sue Storm is a hot one. I mean, she was a hot one back in the days.
I'm gonna rebel.
Yes, he was
on the Fenrir.
I think she was one of the first comic book MILFs, actually. Right?
She wasn't even a MILF. This is way before she was a
MILF. This is before her and Reed were married.
Way before she was a MILF. Go ahead.
Yeah, she was like 30s at best.
Oh, hell no. The early 20s at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very young in this.
You guys, I love you guys. So I'm gonna go with a strong 9 on this issue. I actually like this issue even more than the Doctor Doom issue. That's saying a lot because I'm kind of a Doom shill, kind of. But I really love this issue for Peter Parker and his supporting cast, and it's kind of a breakaway from proper villains to deal with his everyday life issues. So once again, I
Yeah.
also love even though the Living Brain looks dumb, the fact that he has to be selective and super strategic. I like that because it really brings danger to a really cheesy, fat widescreen size TV robot. It's basically it reminds me of those box TVs from the 90s. Remember when it was cool to have a big screen? It was just a big box that had a screen on top. It reminds me of that, except it moves. The fact that you can only do things once, otherwise they'll pick up once you do and they'll adapt to it quickly. It's kind of like mimicking before mimicking. So I'm down with a strong deny this issue, and that's a hill I will die or get killed on. So, anyways,
my favorite thing about the issue, Nick,
go ahead.
is the conversation of, "Hey, Jackin, we're about 6 or 7 pages short for the newest one. Spin out some pencils on a page. Doesn't have to be anything, and we'll get Steve to ink it." Yeah, it doesn't matter. How about Spidey starts a fight with the Human Torch and the FF show up and they fight and nothing happens and there's no story. That's great. There we go.
That's probably exactly what happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you know it's what happened. You know it, guys.
Yeah.
You know it. Of course, that's what happened. Of course. No, Clubby. I think you summed up the pitch in the most brutally honest way ever. And also, I can't believe I missed it, but I'm just gonna say now. Table Chop Junkie went good night and said it was an awesome show. But hey, dude, you got a life, man. Thank you for hanging out with us. Well, you could. I do appreciate that. And Matthew Ponder said that gliding Spider-Man is pure Kirby, Night Glider, Black Bolt. He loved glider characters. Woo! Well
And it's
said.
cool. Yeah, it's cool to see Kirby do an issue, even something like that, just to see with Ditko inking him at that time when, just around the time where Kirby was starting to getting out of his cruder stage on FF, and so was Ditko kind of. So it's interesting. The art's the most interesting thing about that issue for me.
Nick, when are you getting that action figure?
Which one? The Living
Glider
Brain?
Spider-Man.
Oh, Glider.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, but also that's a throwback to the last issue because Spider-Man was trying that solid webbing that he used to make the parachute with the Vulture. I know he's doing wings and everything. The Spider-Man is kind of amazing on the way that he uses that webbing.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just did. I mean, he did a lot of crazy stuff through these comics, we just read. I mean, he back in the swamp, he did those whatchamacallit, those little slippers and
swamp
water.
shoes.
Oh
Something.
yeah.
Yeah, those swamp shoes. It's really amazing how creative he can be with those things.
Yep.
I want to give a shout out to Vince Womack in the chat. How you doing? Hey, dude, no worries if you're late. By all means, if you can, please catch the replay because obviously we're touching up on issue 8 and we did 5, 6, and 7 earlier. But I can assure you it's worth your time and listening. And thank you for coming in now because always better late than never. So, okay, so I want Thoth, why don't you talk about ASM number 8?
I'll make it quick. It was good. A lot of fun. A great issue. Great supporting cast. Interesting villain that we really never see again. And yeah, it was just fun. I love the art. I love the story. I love the panels. It's a good issue. And everybody else here on the panel has already said what I would be going to be saying. So yeah, it's fun. All these classic Spider-Man issues are so much fun to go back and revisit. I wanted to talk about slabbing a little bit, just briefly, and there's a good and bad with that. So if you intend to sell your comics and make a profit on those comics, then they are worth slabbing. But if you want to go down, sit in a nice comfy chair, put the footrest up, have a glass of wine, and just read some classic Silver Age stuff, why would you ever slab your comics? Unless you are planning to leave it to your kids or grandkids so that they can sell it for $10,000 or whatever they're going to be worth, then why would you ever slab a comic book? I have a handful that I've bought slabbed, but I own the comic as well because there is nothing like taking it out of the bag and the board, opening the comic, closing your eyes, sticking your nose into the center of the issue and just inhaling. There is no smell like that. And those of us who grew up, especially in the 60s and 70s, who can remember what that smell was like, that was the opening the door to adventure. So why would you ever seal that up in a bunch of plastic? So anyway, I shout out to all those collectors out there who buy the comics to read them, to smell them, to touch them, and yeah, even to taste it, because as you're smelling it and feeling it, you're tasting it as well. And it's nothing like, going on the senses and remembering the past and these grandmasters of storytelling and what they'd put on the page. And so always remember that when you're reading an old comic, especially that era, that way of storytelling will never come again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
Well
slapping a comic would be like, I don't know, buying a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Cobra Kai toy and not opening it.
Oh,
that's
trust
I
me.
open all my toys. That's it.
Oh, I do
I
too.
crack open the plastic and I play with them.
I will open. Well, when I bought that earlier, I was getting ready for my buddy's wedding before getting ready for the rehearsal, and I was like, oh crap, I need to pick up a little extra something. So I went to Target, and I'm not gonna say what I got on live on the air because in case he's somehow listening, but I'm like, oh, I gotta get a little extra for him. So I do, and while I do, I catch those figures. I'm like, okay, I guess that's in my impulse buy. And I get that, and I'm like, man, I want to open up now, but I gotta get ready for this wedding. Damn it! And well, here I am now at this hotel. So when I get home Sunday afternoon in time for my stream on Makani's channel, Makani Draw. Shout out to Makani wherever you are, dude. Can't wait to hang out with you Sunday afternoon. But yeah, I'll be on there, and I will probably unveil Michelangelo and Anthony LaRusso. I'm sorry, Danny LaRusso. Come then. Yes. It's gonna be
excellent.
Oh, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. And Steve Mitchum, good night to you as well. Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you soon as well, sir. D-Bud, why don't you talk about ASM number 8?
Yeah, it's an odd issue. I mean, the first story takes place completely in the high school. I mean, it's all just a single day there at the high school.
I love it.
It's an interesting story. It's different. It's very different. And yeah, it's like the other guys say, it's just a fun little story. But there wasn't much to it other than I think it was pointed out that the fight with the living brain was interesting in how Spidey was having to think, oh, I can't repeat any of my actions because this thing's going to figure out how I fight. And if I do anything a second time, it's going to know it and I'm going to be in trouble. But I think it's kind of a thin story idea. So they ran out of, they just couldn't fill a full issue with it. So they had that little backup story. Now the backup story though, I don't know if any of you know this, but that's not the first time that Kirby drew Spider-Man and the Torch together.
No.
Actually, back in Strange Tales Annual number 2.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
That's the first real long story with where Spidey and the Torch got together, and that was also drawn by Stan Lee. Stan Lee did everything, of course. But Jack Kirby drew it, and Steve Ditko inked that story in the Strange Tales Annual. But that was so. This is actually the fourth time that Spider-Man and the Torch have met. But that's a fun little story too. I mean, that whole sort of the Torch solo stories in Strange Tales were a fun batch of stories to read.
And because when this happened in this issue, if you were reading it and you hadn't read that one, you go, "What the hell has it got? What's this problem with the Human Torch?"
Yeah,
because they'd already had a history.
Yep.
Boy, was Spidey an a-hole in that.
Oh my God. He wanted to steal his Thunder so bad. He wanted to steal the girl.
Steal his girl.
And Yeah, and once again, that's teenage problems. Like, you're competitive, you want to be better than all the guys around you, and yeah, and Peter lets that get to him a bit. You see him get cocky with the situation. Of course, he's right around point where he's got confidence boost. He's dished out some smooth compliments to some ladies. He's having snuggles. Like he's shooting for the stars. Peter at this point, he's really gunning for it, for better for worse, depending on how you see it.
But he's hitting on this girl as Spider-Man. I mean, they didn't really talk to her that much, but he just decided, yeah, I'll go. I mean, she should go out with me, not me, Peter Parker. He's Spider-Man when he does it. It's just, what the hell?
He's getting confident, but also he is kind of learning a lot of himself. That I think that's the wonder of these issues. Spider-Man is becoming another person. You start with Peter Parker, and he's this kind of normal guy, a bit shy, and he cannot do anything. And then he's literally trying to join the Fantastic Four and having fights with Johnny and everything. And he's starting to get the ladies. So he's changing. His way of thinking is changing. And even the fight with the living brain is just that. He's learning that sometimes just throwing punches is not worth it. Sometimes you need to think what you are doing, and it's the same with the Lizard and with Dr. Octavius and everything. He's starting to become Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost as if he's a teenager and becoming an adult.
Imagine.
Yeah, I mean it's the way it was all captured in this, is showing some immaturity and as he's growing and going, gee, I can do better than this.
Yeah,
that's such the appeal of this character, and at this time period.
I agree. Anything else you want to elaborate on, D-Bud?
Well, the other thing that with the Torch is, that was my disappointment with Marvel Team Up, is that the first few issues were Spider-Man and the Human Torch together, and I thought, oh, that's going to be the whole series. It's going to just be those two together, and they'll really become big friends, and they'll eventually Spidey show his true identity to the Torch, and they'd just be like best buds. It'd be like Power Man and Iron Fist, a team book, and then the fourth issue they had the X-Men. I'm like, what? I thought this was going to be Spider-Man and the Torch.
then they alternated the book for a little while before it became Spidey's book. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the issues where the Torch was the star in the book were the same months that Giant Size Spider-Man came out.
Yes, that's right. Wow.
And then when that stopped, that's when it just was Spider-Man from then on.
Yep.
But yeah, this is just a fun issue, kind of a throwaway sort of issue with kind of a couple incomplete stories. But yeah, it's just a filler. More
it
is.
You can actually pick this issue up pretty cheap too. This is one of the issues in the top 10 that is relatively inexpensive. So yeah, just a shout out to that.
Keep that in mind, chat. You heard.
Remember the word relatively, though.
Relatively.
So do I get to keep do I at least get to keep an arm?
No.
Yes.
Well, you might have a finger or two left, but
well, I'm gonna say a phrase I've been repeating all night. So you're saying that there's still a chance?
Yes, especially if you win the lottery.
Top 10 is really expensive, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Of course. All right. Well, last but of course not least, Pablo. Any thoughts on ASM number 8 you want to share with us before we wrap up?
Oh yeah, it's just
do it.
Spider-Man has this way of doing things at the early comics that is that he's a kid. He shows that he's a kid all the time, and you can see through his charade of trying to be a man and trying to be really a warrior, and instead you see him messing up and learning from his mistakes. And even in the fight with Flash, he's like, oh, I want to hold, but he really doesn't. And when you see Flash flying, you know that Spider-Man can throw a punch way lighter, but it's not Spider-Man at that moment. It's Peter Parker. It's a kid. He has this thirst for revenge with Flash. And after that, it's just he fights with the living brain and he has to learn about what he's doing. Then he has the fight with the Human Torch, and is him being hot-headed, he being naive in a way, because he believes that nothing can happen out of that fight. And at a point, the Human Torch is actually getting serious, and you see him saying that I should not be using this amount of fire with Spider-Man, but he kind of deserves it. So at that point, even the Human Torch is losing control, and is because Spider-Man has no control over himself. He's losing a lot of that, and every time that he avoids hitting Flash is kind of big deal, because here we see that he can let go a bit, and even a bit is too much. And I mean, Flash gets knocked out in the first punch, he gets back. The second punch, he is just call out. There's no way he can do anything. He's out for the showers, and not even that. He has to be carried out of the building. Basically, he has to be carried to the locker rooms. And it's because, yeah, Peter cannot hold. And I think the next issue is really the one where he starts to come up with what he really cannot do, because he is against Electro, and Electro actually just toys with him and destroys him. So it's not even, there's no even that sensation with the Human Torch that, yeah, maybe he could win if, no, he cannot win. And he needs to learn that he cannot win. He needs to learn that he is a kid. For now, he's just starting to let go, starting to go with the girls, starting to try to seduce even the girlfriend of another man. And then he has to learn that, yeah, maybe he's not the great thing that he believed.
He's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. You hear that, Peter? Pablo says you're not the greatest thing since sliced bread. So you better recognize when he says that. And also, I want to give a shout out to the awesome and great friend, Mr. Culture Casino, my co-partner.
Hey.
Of course, we're part of the
Hello,
great
sir.
Yelling at
Culture.
Park Cars with the Dix Division, Comics Division. How you doing, buddy? Great to see you here in the chat. Thank you for coming on by. I appreciate you, my friend. And Dark
It is
Chat
an
Logan.
absolute honor to have Culture Casino in the chat.
It really
Hell,
is.
brother, it is great to see you, and I listen to you every day, and once in a while I'm in your chat taking care of you, brother. So it's good to see you come out and support us. And you know what?
Yeah.
He shouted you out there, Flava Flavs. I love that.
Yeah, no,
There you go.
that's an honor and a privilege from the excellent Culture Casino. And
And
our
you get
buddy-
6 minutes of entertainment news every morning from him.
yeah, no, that Culture knows how to give us that entertainment in just 6 minutes.
Indeed.
Sometimes.
He should come talk comics.
Ladies.
I would love for him to.
He should
Hey,
come talk comics one of these nights with us.
Culture,
Yeah.
you there's your invite. You want to come on here? We're talking ASM for the next 3 weeks.
I just invited him on your show. I mean, I'll invite him on mine too, by the way. I'm inviting people on someone's show that's not mine. You know, I'm sorry.
No complaints.
And he
Floppy.
said ASM, not ATM. So just
We'll
to
invite
let
the
you know.
I hope it's not ATM. Somebody just robbed one from a bank in my area.
Oh God!
Took a
ATM?
forklift in and grabbed it and took off with it.
Oh boy.
All right, so I see Keely Chow. How you doing? And Dark Shadow Logan is going good night. Thank you.
Roll Tide, Keely.
sir.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll
Be
Tide.
well. All right. Well, anything else, Pablo?
No, I just wanted to show. I have been playing. I forked the money and I got Elden Ring, but this is the controller that I have
Everybody's
been using.
playing that.
Oh,
Look at that.
theme.
Yep.
Spiffy.
And yes, I know my hair is a mess, but that's life. But yeah, I have been using
Hey, at
this
least you
control.
have hair.
At
Call
least I
me
have
over
hair.
here, boy.
I have been using that control, and god damn it, every single time I started to play, I'm like, I should be playing Spider-Man with this thing.
Yes.
So I will 100% that game again after I finish with Elden Ring. That goddamn is really really good.
And that
That's something-
controller's still in one piece.
Of course. Nick, I want to show you something real quick if you get a chance.
Yes. Go ahead.
I will say I have been 35 hours in the game, and yeah, the controller is still complete. I don't know how long it will be because I'm on the fourth boss, and yeah, fourth boss kill it in
Out of, like,
30
90?
hours plus.
I got a present today that from our wonderful first officer, the amazing Raquel Briggs.
Oh, my.
To give you an idea how big this picture is, I had to use these action figures. So it rolled up, so it's rolled up so I got to flatten it out. So look at the action figures. I'll tell you how big this picture is. That's the Kirby Sinat splash page from Fantastic Four number 51, which my copy of this I have signed by Jack Kirby, of course. I had him sign my copy.
Outstanding.
So I will be framing this. Thank you,
That's awesome.
Raquel Briggs, you wonderful lady, and of course Mark D with the C helped her get it here because she's way up there on the other side of the border and it's tough to get stuff. So he helped the great Mark D with the C helped me get it. Our chief engineer. So I'm just astonished by this. It's truly lovely of them to do so.
I agree, and shout out to Raquel Briggs in general. So hope wherever you're out there, hopefully you're doing well up north. This is
Love you, Raquel.
you really shipped Bobby a piece of gold. A pat on the back to you for that one because that is absolutely badass.
That's probably not only my favorite thing image of all time, probably my favorite splash page of any comic period. I just adore it. So anyway.
I'm not gonna argue against that. I don't know if I don't know if I agree or disagree, but all I know is if I were that's a very hard one to contest because that one is that damn good, as Triple H would like to say. So yeah. That one is truly that damn good. Oh,
thanks for letting me share that, man. That's cool stuff.
Oh, of course. And Mr. Culture here says, "Can we do Captain America and the Falcon? A Phoenix Shall Arise? Amazing book."
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Next month, let's do it, dude. All right. I would love to do it. That sounds great. I'm not as familiar, but I'm willing to get reading and acquainted with it just to get you on.
Power Records.
All right.
Sorry,
you heard the man. No, you're good, dude. You're good. All right, guys. It's going to be the part where we wrap up because, well, since I'm out here and there's a wedding tomorrow, I'm going to go hit up a casino and try to win some money. So
get some bacon.
Oh, dude. If there's bacon out here, you bet your ass I'm going to find it. So,
guys, Nick needs help. He's hit the casino. He can't even afford his mic stand anymore. He had to sell that.
All right.
And culture.
I'm saying, mark my words. Next stream, he's going to be bald. He sold his hair for money.
Nick,
No,
this is secretly an intervention. We're here to
he should do something
help you
like, ladies and gentlemen, since you are holding the microphone.
Culture would want him to sell his hair for charity.
Let's get ready to rumble. No, I'm not
Nice.
gonna do that. I already got this far. All right, guys. To the chat, thank you for hanging around for 2.5 hours. I appreciate you. Now, just get my plugs out of the way quick. If I'm lucky, I'm gonna try to get that pizza review done before the wedding starts. So, fingers crossed, I can make that happen. My Batman Calzone, if not in the next few days. I'll be talking about the new Ghost album as well, Impera. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. Toxic Tuesday will Animal House. Toxic Tuesday. That is for sure happening. It's Tuesday night. It's gonna be huge. Huge. Be ready for it. It's gonna be huge. I eat up park cars on Monday night, Comics Division channel with the Dix Boys. And once again, seriously, chat, thank you for hanging out, whether you're here for 5 minutes, the entire panel. Your support is always appreciated. And we will see you guys here next week for ASM 9, 10, 11, and 12. Oh, dude, stop. That's too generous. Way too generous. But yeah, and yes, that is a recipe for brokenness, but really, I'm just ultimately there for the food and try to win some money. So, anyways, those are my plugs. Lord Thoth, final thoughts or anything you want to say?
I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be a part of it. The panel tonight was amazing. Shout out to the chat. The chat is the best part of anything that we do. I love hearing the comments and the feedback and everybody shouting out their favorite comics or panels or whatever. And so thank you very much for joining in on this journey that we've taken tonight and talking about Spider-Man, the classic Silver Age stuff. So look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Have a safe week, everybody, and I'll see you soon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Lord Thoth. And Thoth, as always, thank you for coming on. I look forward to doing many more of this. Until then, sir, you have a great night, and you continue to have amazingly expensive and delicious wine.
I will try to do that.
Oh, what an obligation.
I know, but we all have sacrifices to do in this life, and that's one I'm willing to undertake.
Fenrir.
Well, my comic book brothers in arms, this was a fun night. I enjoyed talking about these amazing stories, art, and ratings with you guys. Truly, it was a great stream, but hey, almost all the ones we have are always great and funny. We really drop the shit every time. That's why I love hanging out with you guys. Yeah, y'all know the drill. Good night, y'all. Stay safe. Stay away from the drugs. Especially you, Pablo.
Never.
Well, that was a targeted comment.
Whoa, I know, right? Well, Fenrir, as always, appreciate having you on. Appreciate you having your knowledge, your insight, your opinions. Thank you, as always, for taking the time. I know, obviously, you're on the other side of the world, so for you to say,
I know, Biggie, man. It's always fun.
Good.
It's always fun with you guys.
Good.
Good to see you, Fenrir. Good man.
And we'll see you next week. Hopefully, if you're around. If not, we'll see you again soon. D. Bud Martin, plug away, sir. If you got anything, or if you just want to say anything, whatever.
No, I just want to thank you for having me on again. I certainly love talking about Silver Age Marvel. So, anytime you're doing that, I'd be happy to join you.
All right,
and
we'll
thank
do it
the
again.
Chat for being here.
Mm-hmm.
Love seeing all the folks here, and the gang here in the stream. And I'll see you around in Klobby shows or Midnight's Edge, and also Midnight's Edge After Dark Radio.
Ooh.
I almost forgot. Hey, DB, you got any Twitter or something just to give you a follow or something?
No, I don't know.
He's
YouTube's my only social media.
Oh, correct. All right, then. At least you're sane. You're sane.
All right. Well, D-Bud, we'll bring you back on. All right. And I look forward to having you back on. And it's going to be great. And rest assured, it will happen sooner, much rather than later, as soon as next week if you're around. I mean, you're always hanging out with us up front anyway, so you're basically part of the club anyway. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. The Ironcaster.
Ooh. Wait. Let me. Ah.
That was good.
Nice.
Guys, it's a lot of fun, especially getting into the individual issues. You can find me over tomorrow on T-Shirt Historians. I'll drop a link in the chat. We're gonna do the Week in Geek. We'll be doing a lot more of this talk. We'll be getting into maybe some tabletop game stuff. Maybe we'll get into a little bit of comic news. Maybe we'll talk about whatever the big movie is of the week. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I might do a little bit of gaming streams in here. I was saying on Twitter this week, I've never played Devil May Cry, so I don't know what I'm gonna be in for.
Oh, good times,
He
man.
is really good.
I mean, yeah, everyone's playing Elden Ring and Dark Souls, but I'm like, well, I mean, Devil May Cry is supposed to be hard too. That's close enough, right?
It's not only
Right?
hard, it's really, really fun, man. You will have a great time.
And I've got like 4 or 5 of them on Steam, so I might as well.
I'm behind. I'm still playing Witcher 3.
Oh, I gotta get to that.
Oh, and that one I have more than 600 hours. I had to stop playing Witcher 3. I have 100% even the DLCs at this point.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, that's the Aaron Caster. Sir, thank you as always. Your contributions, your opinions. You've been very essential, dare I say, to this panel. I appreciate it. And I will see you next week. And of course, Pablo from Geek Tropology and Midnight Sage Espanol, as Batman likes to say when he's interrogating villains, talk.
I have been working a lot, and the time that I'm not working, I'm playing Elden Ring. Help me. Really help me.
That's what I keep hearing. I keep hearing that from everyone.
The only reason
my son.
why I decided to buy the game is because Az has been streaming the game, and I love
Yes.
watching Az. And
Az
since
has
he's
been
streaming the game,
Only 12
he's
hours.
streaming
yeah.
Elden
Okay.
Ring, and the issue is that since he's streaming a game that I want to play, I have not been able to watch his streams. So I decided to try to catch up so we can at least play at the same time or something. And now I really need help. But 3 a.m. yesterday, I beat one of the big bosses, so yay! And I woke up 7 a.m. to keep playing, so help!
Yikes.
All right. Well, you heard him here, ladies and boys and gentlemen, children of all ages. Geek Tropology, Pablo, also Midnight's Edge Espanol, and last but not least, the mighty Clobbering Times.
Oh, dude, again, I apologize for my unpreparedness. I promise to read all the issues or reread them. Maybe it's been a year. Next time, if I'm able to make it here next time, buddy. And but this has been so much fun. I love that you're doing this. What a great panel you have. Great hanging out with all of you, my friends. And join us tonight or tomorrow night for Saturday Night Star Trek. Same Trek time, same Trek channel, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Starting season 6 of TNG. 4 more episodes to review on that, and then Monday night Mark C Comics Talk. It's been a year. It's hard to believe it's been a year since our dear friend Mark C has passed, and we're going to just talk a little bit about him, pay tribute to our dear departed buddy. So
wow, time flies, man. Time flies.
Yeah, it was really actually yesterday was the actual day of the But yes, it's a year. I can't believe it's been a year. It's just wow, man, wow. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that is a big deal, and wow, I can't believe it doesn't even feel like it happened that long ago. That's kind of like threw me off guard when you said that. Even
yes, it really does. So we'll just kick back and talk about him a little bit. Give a pay tribute to him. So see if some friends come in. So.
Oh, of course. Well, guys, you heard that here. Make sure you tune into that. All right. And Clubby, as always, we'll see you soon. Thank you
Thank you, buddy.
Coming on here, taking the time as you do a lot. And I appreciate any time I can get. And I will see you hopefully here next week for ASM 9 through 12.
Yes, sir.
See you tomorrow night, Clubby.
Absolutely, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, buddy.
The Saturday Night Star Trek guys. I mean, at this point, you know the show. You more than likely love the show, and that's it. There's no option B. There's just option A. You love it. So
you're too kind, man. Thank you. You're too kind, Nicholas.
It's 4 terrible episodes tomorrow night too, so I'm sure there'll be maybe some D's in that.
I don't know about all that now.
Oh, tomorrow night you're putting more Star Trek on trial because
that's
the trial
right.
never ends.
There might be a top 10er, in fact.
There might be a top 10er. Woo!
Okay.
There's some broccoli in it.
Now, Nicholas, I just want you to promise us you're going to be careful out there, because I'm worried about you, man. Because you're out on the road.
Watch out for more of those
I
baconators.
want to see if you could touch the end of your nose first before we let you leave that hotel room.
It's all those heart bags. He's got hard-ons on his bed there.
Actually, there's a better one. That's the tip of your armpits.
We don't want to worry about you, brother.
I won't make promises that I can't keep. Let's just put
That just makes it worse.
I know.
I'm just glad we didn't get to see Flava Flav's lingerie all splashed in on the bed there. That would be scary as heck.
All right, hold up. You asked for it.
Oh, shoot.
No.
What have you done to us?
Oh no! He's gonna
damn it, boy.
flames himself all over the bed there.
Just had to bring it up, didn't you, Thought?
There's probably some pizzas or something underneath those pillows.
He could have blown himself up big, and we could have gotten some new meme material out
I
of it.
had to give you the seductive pose. All right.
Is that what that was?
Yep, I
wasn't
had to give you the
nearly enough
seductive.
pizza
I
for
had to
that.
do the walk on the bed and everything too. So.
That felt like when your dog jumped in your bed.
You better keep that lady in your life, man, because I don't know, that seductive pose might not land you a new one.
All right, guys, chat. Thank you as always. What have you done this? Yes, we'll blame Thoth. He egged it on.
It's my fault. I agree.
You all have a great evening. We'll see you next week for the Comic Shop Talk or on Toxic Tuesday. Goodbye.
Take care, everybody.
Good fight. Good night. No.
No.
No. Hey.